Chapter 1898. As far as the eye could see, the courtyard was in a complete mess. Chu Yang left in the wee hours of the morning. The compound continued to operate as usual. Everything was in order. They were preparing for the second round of the auction that was about to begin in the evening. However, just after noon, an unforeseen event occurred. The gate of the compound was smashed with a bang. Then 3 masked men in black rushed in. This was the time when people were most relaxed. They had just finished lunch and it was also in broad daylight. Even if there was an attack, most people wouldn't choose this time. However, today's unforeseen event happened because of this blind spot in his thinking. It happened so suddenly that all the guards were killed almost instantly when the gate was broken. Fishy was the closest and he rushed out when he heard the sound. Unfortunately, there was a huge gap in strength between him and the intruders. After that, Duan Sankong fought with all his strength, and his saber managed to buy a few breaths of time, and didn't cause more casualties. Almost at the moment when Duan Sankong was gradually unable to hold on, Lightning Snake and the others finally arrived. The 3 immediately joined the battle, and the 4 sabers finally stopped the 3 masked men in black. The battle was in a stalemate for the time being. Although the whereabouts of these 3 masked men in black were secretive, and no one knew where they came from, each of their cultivations had already reached the Transcendental Saint realm. Even though the Chu clan had Thunder, Lightning Snake, Giant Spirit, and Duan Sankong's 4 blades working together, they were still at a disadvantage. Although the 4 of them tried their best to deal with them, and Thunderbolt Wild Blade and the other 2 displayed extraordinary tacit understanding, and shared most of the pressure, the situation was very dangerous, and they were in danger of being wiped out at any time. At the critical moment, Brother Tiger suddenly appeared, and used his own body to fight with all his strength, relying on his high speed. He restrained the 3 masked men on the outside, and finally prevented Duan Sankong and the other 3 from being completely wiped out. However, Brother Tiger's injuries hadn't healed yet. Even if he tried his best, he could only be roughly equal to one of them. Even if he gritted his teeth and fought with all his might, he could only restrain 2 of them. As for the other one, he was really helpless. Finally, only 3 people came this time. Brother Tiger restrained 2 of them, and Duan Sankong and the other 3 dealt with the last one. Dao was bathed in blood, but he was still fighting and fighting with all his might. His situation was finally slightly better than before. He didn't let them break into the inner yard. If the other party managed to break into the inner yard, not to mention anything else, those children would definitely not be able to escape death. The battle seemed to be in a stalemate, but as the battle continued, Duan Sankong and the other 3 were secretly complaining. Because the stalemate in front of them was just an illusion. Their side could collapse at any time. The other party was simply too powerful. Almost all of them were heavenly human-grade experts. Such existences were not something that the 4 of them could fight against. No matter how hard they fought, it was meaningless. They were still able to hold on. On one hand, the Lightning Serpent and the other 2 were cooperating with each other. They had a great tacit understanding with each other, and their combined might was greatly increased. On the other hand, the 4 of them did not hesitate to die together to intimidate their opponents. The other party was confident that they would win, so they would not risk their lives to fight with the 4 of them. That was why the 4 of them could barely hold on. However, this situation would not last long. As long as the 4 of them slowed down, the battle would be over in an instant. On the other side, Brother Tiger was barely restraining the other 2. He was agile and he walked faster and faster. It seemed that he was not at a disadvantage, but in fact he had no chance of winning. The other 2 did not want to fight with Brother Tiger to prevent themselves from getting injured. If these 2 were ruthless enough, Brother Tiger would not be able to hold on. The 3 experts who suddenly appeared were at the level of the Snow Fairy Xiangbo. The longer the battle dragged on, the more disadvantageous it would be for the Chu family. At this moment they were about to be completely wiped out by the other party. As long as either side broke the stalemate, the Chu family's destruction was inevitable. The eyes of the 3 masked men in black flashed with a cruel and bloody light. Their mission was to kill the 4 people in front of them. Duan Sankong was secondary, but the Lightning Serpent and the other 2 were the targets of this trip. As for other things, there would be others to worry about. The situation was good. As long as they dragged on for a while, they would be able to succeed. Puff. The Thunder Frenzy blade spat out a mouthful of blood, and blood splashed from his shoulder. He staggered backward, and a flaw appeared in the tight coordination between the 3 blades. Although Duan Sankong quickly covered the gap, it was still useless. The Thunder Frenzy blade had been locked by the other party's cold sword, and it was not only him. The other 2 blades were also pressuring him. He could not even abandon the battle and escape. At this moment, there was a fluctuation in the void, and an ethereal and old voice said, "Who dares to make trouble here?" The three masked men in black were all veterans in battle. When they realized that the other party had a strong opponent, they did not dare to act rashly before they figured out who it was. They immediately stopped fighting and gathered in one place to be on guard. Brother Hu panted heavily when he saw that the strong enemies had temporarily retreated. He had already done his best to fight against two strong opponents by himself. The fact that he could persist until now meant that he had consumed more energy than Duan Sankong and the other three. Lightning Serpent and the other two were overjoyed when they heard the voice. It was the voice of that senior. Their savior had arrived. Senior, the three of them should be from the ghost tribe. Lightning Serpent held back a mouthful of blood that was about to spurt out. His pale face had turned blood red, which was a sign that he was suppressing his internal injury. The three masked men in black looked around suspiciously. Their cultivation was extremely high, and they had reached the upper celestial being level. They clearly heard that the voice was close at hand, but they could not find a trace of a ghost even after searching with all their strength. How could they not be shocked? They could not help but be vigilant. An expert. How powerful must he be to be able to make an expert of the upper celestial being level like himself not detected? What level should he be at? The three masked men looked at each other and saw the horror in the other two's eyes. To be able to reach this level, he must be at least a peerless expert of the saint level. Such an existence was not someone the three of them could afford to offend. Even if the three of them joined forces, it would be useless. Fortunately, the other party seemed to be an elder and he seemed to have a good temper. Let's see what the other party will say. The three of them were from the ghost tribe after all. The other party might not be unafraid. If they acted rashly, they would be courting death. So, when will the grudges of the Jianghu end? Chu Yang was so angry that he almost vomited blood. He could not wait to kill the three of them immediately, cut them into pieces, and dismember them into pieces. However, he did not have the ability to do so now. You three juniors are still not leaving? Do you really want this old man to start a massacre here? The old voice said faintly. The three Ghost Realm experts looked at the mess here and once again sensed the other party's powerful cultivation base. There was also the monster glaring at them from the side. They looked at each other and cupped their fists. Senior is so magnanimous. We thank you. Farewell. Such an existence. They definitely could not defeat him. Moreover, the main character Chu Yang was not here. If they forced themselves to make a move, they would only invite a strong counterattack from the hidden person. It was pointless to take the risk. So it was better to leave as soon as possible. The three of them no longer hesitated and flew away at the same time. Senior, why did you? Lightning Serpent and the others were confused. We have suffered such a great loss here. How could you let them go so easily? Should they say that this senior was too well-mannered, or, when you have improved your cultivation, go and get the place back yourselves? Do you think I can protect you for a lifetime? You're so useless. Chu Yang threw down a bottle of elixir and then checked the situation. He found that the injury was not light, but it was not fatal. He finally breathed a sigh of relief, fed them an elixir, and immediately rushed to the backyard. Do you think I don't want to kill people? But I really don't have that ability now. Lightning Serpent and the other two immediately understood. Yes, if they were dealt with by the senior, under his protection, their mentality would definitely change. Not to mention other things, there would always be some dependence. Only when they really got the place back would it be their dignity and face. Just like the three of them vowed to defeat the infinite invincible blade. The three of them immediately got busy healing their injuries and then cultivating. After the matter in the front yard was settled, Chu Yang rushed to the backyard anxiously. The first thing he saw was a mess. Wu Qianqian was unconscious with blood at the corner of her mouth. Huyan Aobua and the others were also lying on the ground. No one could move. Tai Budian was nowhere to be seen. Chu Yang's heart sank. He woke everyone up as fast as he could. Wu Qianqian had just woken up when she grabbed Chu Yang's arm. Quick! Go and save Sister Budian. Chu Yang's heart surged with the craziest desire to kill. The thing he was most worried about had happened. Could it be that the prophecy was unavoidable and was destined to happen? What exactly is going on? Tell me the important parts. Chu Yang asked hurriedly. He already had a conclusion in his heart. Ghost. Yuan Shu Dao. This guy must have suffered a loss and came to take revenge. Wu Qianqian took the elixir. She did not even have time to activate her energy to catalyze the elixir. It turned out that when the incident happened in the front yard was in a mess. Tai Budian knew that there was a change in the situation and immediately arranged for Brother Hu to go to the front yard to help. But as soon as Brother Tiger left, a man in black suddenly appeared. This person was extremely powerful and the women were not his match at all. Fortunately, this person did not seem to have the intention to kill, or perhaps it was because of his status that he disdained to kill women, so no one died. However, all of them were heavily injured. As for Tai Budian, she had been abducted. Or rather, that person's target was Tai Budian. How long has it been since that person took Budian away? Jianghu took a deep breath. He could no longer suppress the madness and violence in his heart. His intuition exploded with a boom. About the time it takes to burn a stick of incense. Wu Qianqian had just finished speaking when she saw Chu Yang already in the air with a whoosh. You all stay at home and heal yourselves. I'll go and bring her back. Before he finished speaking, he had already disappeared without a trace. But there was an extra bottle of elixir where Chu Yang was just now. Chu Yang was burning with anxiety. Like a black line he sped through the air. His speed had almost reached the limit of his life. Sprinting. Chapter 1899. Lord Swordmaster, if you go like this, even if you can make it in time, you won't be their match at all. The sword spirit said anxiously, the only thing we can do now is to ask for help from His Majesty. Only His Majesty? It's too late. Even if I want to ask for help from His Majesty now, where can I find him? There's still time. Yuan Shirtu is a perverted demon and he had a major conflict with me previously. How can Tian Tian escape from falling into his hands this time? With Tian Tian's temper, once she's humiliated, it'll be a lifelong regret. Even if she doesn't commit suicide, she'll definitely not stay by my side anymore. This matter cannot be delayed. Even if it's faster, it'll be faster. Chu Yang said angrily, just think about it. Shui Leihan's army still hasn't made any moves. Even one person hasn't appeared. How can we still rely on Shui Leihan's army? A sea of locusts? But your current strength. The sword spirit hesitated. Strength is not a problem. But as a man, if I don't step forward when ZJ's woman is in trouble, I'll be a shit. Chu Yang's eyes were so dark that the white of his eyes couldn't be seen. They were completely black, a crazy black. Even if I don't have the ability to face them head-on, I still have the ability to take them down with me. Other people are risking their lives, but I'm risking my life for the world. Being old isn't your trump card. Chu Yang said coldly. The sword spirit said in shock, don't tell me you want to. Chu Yang didn't say a word. His body seemed to fly as he descended. His heart. It was as if a pot of boiling oil was boiling. It was extremely anxious. Butian, I'm coming. No matter what, I'll save you. No matter the cost. He ran at full speed as if he didn't care about his life. In a moment he was outside the city. In front of him was Mo Yuntian's camp. Mo Yuntian came together with 3 super sects this time. Of course there were 3 camps as the base of the camp. And Chu Yang didn't hesitate at all. He directly walked towards the largest camp. Step by step, he walked faster and faster without any hesitation or pause. Although there was no evidence, the other party admitted it. However, there was no need to think about this matter. It was Yuan Shede who did it. Except for the ghost hunter and Yuan Shu too, no one else would do this. The calamity sword was already in his hand. The sword light was dazzling and filled with murderous intent. Oh, stop right there. Stop right there. A voice suddenly sounded. Chu Yang didn't pay any attention to him and continued to walk forward. A few black-clothed men flashed like ghosts and blocked Chu Yang's way. Who are you? What are you doing here? The first black-clothed man looked at Chu Yang coldly. Tell Yuan Shede to come out and see me. The man in black in front of him said. Each and every one of them had a much higher cultivation than Chu Yang. However, Chu Yang's voice did not fluctuate at all. He just calmly stated ZJ's request. His voice was calm, like a pool of stagnant water, without the slightest bit of vitality. You? Meet our young master? The man in black laughed. You want to meet our young master? What kind of shit are you? You won't let me in? Then I'll go in. Chu Yang's eyes moved slightly. Right now, his eyes were filled with grayish-white. Everything he saw, including people and things, were all grayish-white. There was no trace of life at all. He had always been calm and wise. At this moment he could not see ZJ at all. Everyone on the other side. They were all stronger than the current Chu Yang. However, Chu Yang could only force his way in. He could only fight to the death. Now that things had come to this, there was only one way to save Tai Budian. This method was the last resort, and it was Chu Yang's life. Chu Yang did not hesitate at all. Chu Yang walked forward slowly and spoke softly. Jianghu is my woman. For her, I can make any sacrifice. Qian is my woman. For her, I can also make any sacrifice. Tian is my woman and the mother of my son. For her, I will not hesitate to risk my life. It's not that I want to let you down in this life, but there are some things that I have to do now. If any of you were in this situation, I would do anything to save you, even if it's my life. As a man, if I can't even protect my country's woman, how can I still be called a man? If I can't even protect the mother of my son, how can I face my son when I see him in the future? Since fate has forced me to this point, I, Chu Yang, don't regret death. Don't regret death. Chu Yang's footsteps were getting faster and faster. The black-clothed man in front of him could only hear him muttering shit to himself, but he really did hear it. Chu Yang was already rushing towards him. His voice also became faster and faster. If Tian is destined to face this calamity, I, Chu Yang, will bear it. If Budian is destined to die, I, Chu Yang, will accompany her. No matter what, I don't want to have regrets. I don't want to have regrets even more. Jianghu Qian, I'm sorry. Chu Yang looked up to the sky and roared, Yuan Shetu, hand her over. The originally clear calamity sword suddenly emitted an extremely dazzling light. It was so mighty and brilliant that one couldn't look directly at it. It was like the sun in the sky descending to the mortal world. With my heart's blood, I'll destroy all calamities. Chu Yang laughed wildly. In an instant, he circulated the heaven-splitting divine technique in reverse. All his dantians exploded and shattered at the same time. All the power poured into the death dantian, forming a huge whirlpool. Of course, no one except Chu Yang knew about all this. That was because all this was happening inside Chu Yang's body. Even the sword spirit didn't expect that Chu Yang would act so quickly and so resolutely, even though he knew that Chu Yang was going to do it. Lightning flashed and thunder rumbled in the sky, as if a lightning tribulation was coming. An elegant figure came from afar. But it was still just a black dot. It seemed to be shouting, shit. But Chu Yang didn't want to hear it. Even if he heard it, he wouldn't stop the next step. He resolutely and steadily pierced the dazzling sword tip into ZJ's left chest without hesitation. It pierced into ZJ's heart. At this moment, his face was even very calm. Calamity Sword Master, reverse heaven and earth. Then he laughed hysterically. Calamity Sword Master, Calamity Sword Master. Yeehaw. In the heart, dark red blood immediately spurted out. The dazzling light on the sword tip caused the blood to gush out. It disappeared instantly. Only the blood gushed out and dyed the entire sword body red. Chu Yang stood upright. He was expressionless. The surrounding black-clothed men were at a loss. This guy. He came to us. He said a bunch of nonsense just to commit suicide here? They had to admit that this situation was really too strange. It was beyond common sense. Do you think that we'll be afraid if you commit suicide? At this moment, an unprecedented tyrannical power radiated from Chu Yang's body. Chu Yang suddenly raised his head. His eyes shot out a substantial fierce light. Thousands, tens of thousands, or even more sword energy appeared out of nowhere. Endless sword energy instantly filled the whole world. With my heart's blood, destroy all calamities. This move was the ultimate move of the Calamity Sword technique. Once this move was used, no matter how many enemies there were, they would all be killed. Chu Yang was only a revered martial artist in his previous life. But once he used this move, he still slaughtered countless enemies instantly. Now Chu Yang was at the heaven level. He was more than 1,000 times stronger than in his previous life. Destroying one's own foundation. If he unleashed the full power of this move, he would definitely be able to slaughter a saint. Of course, the price of using this move was also heavy. First, he would hurt himself, then the enemy. However, the end of his own life was after the enemy's life. He would be able to take revenge and leave no regrets even if he died. Chu Yang slowly pulled out the sword that pierced into ZJ's heart. The sword tip was stained with the heart's blood of the Calamity Sword Master. It was dazzling red. The sword tip trembled slightly, spontaneously emitting an extremely deep sense of grief. At the same time, a terrifying aura that was enough to destroy the world appeared simultaneously. It pressed down heavily. Chu Yang took a step forward and said indifferently, "Come on. No matter how many people there are here, let's go to hell together." Oh no. How did such a big mistake happen when I just lay down for a short while? This is fucking a shit matter. Is this shit matter worth this much effort? Calamity Sword. That shocked and doubtful figure flashed. Oh my god, what should I do now? This is not fun. In the tent. The moment Tai Budian opened her eyes, she saw a young man in black staring at her with an evil and satisfied smile. Tai Buqian's first reaction was not panic. Instead, she sat up calmly and checked ZJ's clothes. Seeing that they were still intact, she felt relieved. She said coldly, "Who are you? Where is this shit place?" "I'm the young leader of Moyun Sky, the first disciple of the demon ghost. My name is Yuan Shetu." Yuan Shetu smiled proudly and looked down at Tai Budian. He said teasingly, "Beauty, can you tell me your shit name?" Tai Budian frowned and said, "Can an ugly girl like me be called a beauty? Is this the aesthetic standard of Moyun Sky? This aesthetic standard is very different from ours." Yuan Shetu laughed loudly. "Beauty, you don't have to pretend. Others may not be able to see through your disguise, but I'm an exception. I've been studying women's bodies since I was young. I can see through them at a glance." Tai Budian smiled faintly and said, "I admire you, but I wonder what you want to do by bringing me here?" Seeing that she could still be so calm in such a situation, Yuan Shetu couldn't help but be secretly surprised. He smiled evilly and said, "Firstly, I like women. Or should I say, I like to play with women and you happen to be my favorite type. Secondly, you're Chu Yang's woman. Chu Yang, that little brat, has offended me. Therefore, I want to play with you even more. I believe that playing with you will definitely be especially satisfying, doubly satisfying." Chapter 1900. Bu Tian had already recognized the situation at once. The man in front of her had a very high cultivation level, at least 1,000 times higher than her. She was definitely not his match. If she resisted forcefully, she would have no chance at all. The only thing she could do now was to try her best to stall for time and wait for reinforcements. Update P. Even though Tai Budian also knew that Chu Yang didn't have such a high cultivation level and didn't have enough power to shake the strongest sect in Mo Yuntian, she was afraid that she was doomed this time. However, she controlled herself and didn't let herself panic. Even if there was no hope, she had to persevere. If it really didn't work, she could only commit suicide to preserve her reputation. "I won't be disappointed. I believe the only one who will be disappointed is you, because no one will come to save you. Even if someone does come, they won't be able to reach here." Yuan Shetu stood up and walked around Tai Budian. He clicked his tongue and said, "What an excellent figure. If I play with such a figure on the bed, it would be extremely comfortable. Just thinking about it makes me impulsive. I didn't expect to have such luck today. Beauty, I'm coming." As he spoke, he was about to pounce on her. "Wait." Tai Budian looked at him coldly and said somewhat mockingly, "Mo Yundan, the leader of the younger generation, are you so lustful? The so-called first successor of the demon ghost, is he a lustful man who has never seen a woman before?" Yuan Shetu's eyes turned cold. "Woman, are you trying to provoke me? You should know that you'll only suffer if you provoke me here. Also, with me here, you don't even have the slightest chance to resist. Could it be that you're still holding on to the illusion that someone will come to save you? With Chu Yang's insignificant strength, what can he do?" Tai Budian said mockingly, "Didn't you say just now that you want to know my name? Why, have you changed your mind now and don't want to know? Mo Yuntian, the leader of the younger generation, is he so fickle? He only knows how to bully a weak girl and force himself on her just because he's a man." Yuan Shetu looked at her with interest. "I'm waiting for you to say it yourself." Tai Budian smiled indifferently. She looked at Yuan Shetu as if she was looking at a child. Although she was much shorter than Yuan Shetu, her gaze was condescending. She slowly said, "Aren't you very interested in my true appearance? What? You don't even want to see my face now? Is it because you don't have confidence in yourself that you've given up on making me take off my mask? Otherwise, why would you be in such a hurry? Or are you saying that this is the limit of your skills and you've run out of tricks?" Yuan Shetu suddenly felt an indescribable sense of defeat. Under this woman's gaze, he even had a feeling of, "I'm very small and insignificant." It felt very real, even very real. It was as if this woman was a real big shot and he, Yuan Shetu, was just an insignificant ant. But the truth should be the other way around. This feeling made him very unhappy. He was extremely displeased. He smiled fiercely and said, "It won't be too late to look at you after I've played with you. I believe that after you've experienced this young master's toughness, you'll automatically show me your true appearance and even completely fall in love with me." Tai Budian smiled contemptuously. "So, the young leader of Mo Yuntian is just a pervert who has no confidence at all and can fancy any woman. Seeing once is better than hearing 100 times. To think that you're such a character in person. Mo Yuntian is indeed a land of outstanding talents." The sarcasm in her words was obvious. She didn't hide her disdain at all when she praised him. Nonsense. Yuan Shetu was furious when he heard this. But for a moment he couldn't refute. The number of women who had gone through his hands was really more than 1,000? There were many who cooperated and tried to curry favor with him, but there were also many who disobeyed him. It was just that those women were either crying in fear, begging or cursing angrily. But there was really no woman who could be so calm in front of him. Not only was she surprisingly calm, but she also had the attitude of a monarch looking down at the ants and scolding him from above. Could it be that this woman's status was really very high? This thought flashed through Yuan Shetu's mind, but was immediately replaced by a desire in his heart. He smiled sinisterly and said, "This young master is the least afraid of women being stubborn. Let's see if you can still be stubborn after I strip you naked." He strode forward and grabbed Tai Buqian's arm with one hand. His other hand was about to tear her clothes apart. "How dare you?" Tai Buqian straightened her body and stared at Yuan Shetu angrily. For a moment, an endless majestic aura was emitted from Tai Buqian's body. This was the domineering aura that could only be cultivated as an emperor for many years. It was magnificent and majestic. Yuan Shetu suddenly felt that the woman in front of him had really become high and mighty. She was sacred and inviolable. This was the typical aura of a superior. It was definitely not fake. Yuan Shetu couldn't help but feel a little dazed for a moment. He actually took a step back involuntarily. If Yuan Shetu's cultivation was about the same as Tai Buqian's, or only slightly higher than hers, he would probably be immediately intimidated by this natural majestic aura. He didn't dare to continue offending her. However, Yuan Shetu himself was also a person of high status and power. Moreover, he also had a high cultivation. Faced with this pressure, he was only slightly confused and immediately recovered. However, he was a little angry that he was actually intimidated by such a woman. "Bitch. You're courting death." Suddenly, he exerted force in his hand and with a tearing sound Tai Buqian's clothes were torn apart. Tai Buqian exclaimed. Her eyes suddenly turned resolute. She shouted, "Wait." Her body suddenly retreated backward. Yuan Shetu smiled sinisterly and said, "What are you waiting for?" He continued to approach. Obviously, he had already made up his mind to force himself on her. Tai Buqian made up her mind. The internal energy that had already gathered in her heart meridian was about to explode immediately. In fact, when she had just woken up, she had already sensed the danger that she was in and had already made preparations. She had already gathered her internal energy near her heart meridian. Once she sensed that the other party was about to use force, there was no room for negotiation. She would immediately destroy her heart meridian to protect her innocence. Only this method of activating energy in advance and waiting for death was something that no one could stop. Yuan Shetu sensed that something was wrong. He was also a cultivation expert and instantly understood the reason. He shouted angrily, "How dare you!" He immediately rushed forward to stop her. Tai Buqian closed her eyes and shouted in her heart, "Chuyang, my husband, farewell." She was about to activate her internal energy self-explosion immediately. Coincidentally, at this moment, a fierce roar came from outside. The voice was anxious and violent. "Yuan Shetu. Hand her over." It was Chuyang's voice. Tai Buqian's heart shook. Chuyang had come. Yuan Shetu laughed strangely. "What, Chuyang has come? What a good timing. I'll let this green-headed turtle see how I play with his woman. If you offend me, you'll have to pay a price that's worse than death." Tai Buqian stared at him with extreme disdain and ran desperately toward the door. Although she knew that Chuyang's visit was probably of no use, Tai Buqian still hoped that she could take one last look at Chuyang. "As long as I can see him, even if it's from afar, then I can die without regrets today." Tai Buqian's chest was hot and cold. "Or if I die, Chuyang will be fine and he can still live." Yuan Shetu came from behind with a smile. He didn't have the slightest intention of stopping them. "I'll just let the two of you meet again. I like to see people so affectionately parting in life and death. Then I'll snatch you from him and let Chuyang watch as you toss and turn happily under my body, unable to stop it. Even if he doesn't want to watch, he won't be able to die. I want to thoroughly toy with the two of you. Only in this way can I have more fun." Ah. Tai Buqian turned a deaf ear to his words and had already rushed out of the tent. Outside the tent, nearly 200 experts of the demon ghost had gathered here. They were all looking coldly at the entrance of the camp. Tai Buqian's heart sank completely. With such strength, what was the use of Chuyang coming? Yuan Shetu didn't even need to do it himself. Any one of the people here was probably stronger than Chuyang. Chu Yang's arrival this time was just a waste of his life. She ran out recklessly and shouted anxiously, "Chu Yang, leave quickly! Leave quickly!" As long as Chu Yang left now, Tai Budian would be satisfied even if she died before seeing him. The men in black were about to stop her, but Yuan Sheda's cold and mocking voice came from behind. "Don't stop her. Just let her watch. Let her see clearly how Chu Yang died and let her give up from now on." Everyone looked at each other and smiled. They knew that the young master was probably going to play the kind of torture that he was best at and loved the most. They couldn't help but be excited. When Tai Budian came out, Chu Yang had already activated, "With my heart's blood, I'll destroy all tribulations." When Tai Budian was shouting, Chu Yang had already calmly sent the tip of his sword into his own heart. Tai Budian had just rushed over when she saw Chu Yang piercing his own heart with his sword. Tai Budian was already on tenterhooks. When she suddenly saw this horrifying scene, the vital energy that she had forcefully gathered was immediately disrupted. She saw stars and fell to the ground. Tears gushed out of her eyes as she murmured, "Husband? You," she heard Chu Yang's cold voice say, "With my heart's blood I'll destroy all tribulations." With tears blurring her vision, Tai Budian tried her best to widen her eyes. She looked at the figure in black that was slowly moving forward. She also looked at the sword that was slowly being pulled out of Chu Yang's heart with the boiling blood. Fresh blood dripped down. Chapter 1901. The white-bearded old man in black sighed. At this moment he wanted to tear Yuan Shedu into pieces. How could such a strong person be threatened by others? You can beg him, admit defeat, or even beg for mercy. But you absolutely can't coerce him. And he's using a woman he snatched to threaten a super strong person. This Yuan Shedu must be crazy. It was the most unsuitable path, but he had chosen to take it. Of course, the black-clothed, white-bearded old man was completely wrong about this. It wasn't that Chu Yang didn't want to negotiate, but he really couldn't hear anything now. Besides, it was too late for any conditions now. Because Chu Yang had already used his ultimate move. Once this move was used, everyone present was destined to go to the Yellow Springs together. Chu Yang cruelly walked all the way. He swung his sword all the way, destroying everything in his path. He was invincible. Blood rained down from the tribulation sword. In front of him there were still people. For the time being there were still people. Behind him there were all corpses. Along the way, a river of blood flowed behind them. Everyone had died miserably as one could imagine. In front of Chu Yang there were only 30 to 40 people left. Everyone's face was ashen. Even though everyone here was an expert among experts, and everyone had killed countless people before, witnessing such a clean massacre with their own eyes today still made them tremble with fear. Especially when many of the people who were killed were at the same cultivation level as ZJ. They couldn't resist at all and were killed like chickens. Maybe in the next moment, it would be ZJ's turn. ZJ would be like those people before him. Dying miserably. Everyone felt like they were dreaming. It was a horrible nightmare that they never wanted to have. They all thought, if we're lucky enough to survive today, we'll definitely make Yuan Shedu suffer a fate worse than death. Damn it, this bastard caused us to die. Yuan Shedu grabbed Tai Budian and subconsciously retreated slowly. His face was completely pale. At this moment he realized that ZJ had really poked a hornet's nest this time. They had hit a super iron plate. He regretted it very much. However, no matter how much he regretted it now, he could not change the fact. He couldn't save anyone's life. Everyone attacked together. The black-clothed, white-bearded old man shouted, "Now that things have come to this, there's no turning back. We can only fight with our lives on the line. We can only move forward bravely. Only then will we have a chance to survive. Split up the manpower. Protect young master and escape. Hurry up and leave. Put that woman down and don't grab her anymore. If you bring her back, perhaps the entire Mo Yuntian will fall into a nightmare." The black-clothed, white-bearded old man almost vomited blood as he cried out. If it was Yuan Sheda's identity, they would definitely not care about it and directly hand it over. But now they absolutely did not dare to do so. Even if ZJ really died this time, he wouldn't dare. Someone immediately flew out. On the way to pick up Yuan Shu, "Young master, let's go." "Where should we go?" Yuan Shu asked helplessly. "You can fucking put this woman down. I beg you." That person grabbed the unconscious Tai Budian and said angrily, "Hurry up and run." He pulled Yuan Shu and was about to escape. But at this moment Kong's murderous aura rose sharply again. That world-destroying aura also rose to its peak in an instant. Everyone seemed to have fallen into a nightmare. They were muddle-headed and could no longer move an inch. Cha-cha-cha. Chu Yang's footsteps sounded like a death knell. His cold eyes remained motionless and the cruel smile on his lips was still as cold as a knife. Who in this world dares to snatch my woman? Chu Yang looked up to the sky and roared violently, Who dares? The people of Ghost territory stood stiffly and couldn't move at all. They were like wooden sculptures. Everyone had an urge to wail in their hearts. Although everyone had seen many deaths, to be implicated and die in such an aggrieved manner, it was too unjust. Everyone had already received the news that such a big incident had happened here. Not only Mo Yuntian and the other two sects had come here, even Yuntian and Shuexian had rushed over. Looking at the hell-like scene in front of them, everyone kept quiet out of fear. Other than shock, there was only horror. In such a strange and infinitely terrifying situation, Chu Yang was the god of death that no one could resist. Who dared to stand up for Ghost's territory? Who dared to stand up for Yuan Shu too? That was courting death. Not only courting death, but also dying miserably, never to be reincarnated and beyond redemption. Even Mo Yuntian's other two big sects, after seeing this situation, everyone felt insecure and kept quiet out of fear. They were afraid that Chu Yang would implicate them. Who would dare to step forward? What's more, it was Yuan Shedu who was in the wrong first. He snatched someone else's woman, so he naturally had to bear the other party's revenge. Others would take the blame for him? Based on what? Besides, he couldn't snatch a woman from someone? There were so many women in the world, but Yuan Shu too wanted to court death. There was nothing to say. No matter what he did, he had to pay a price. Yuan Shu too had met such a tough opponent before. That was because of his luck. Of course, it was also the price he had to pay. But it was different this time. Or it could be said that his luck had come to an end. Naturally, he had to pay the price in full. This matter was really suspenseful. Yun Tian looked at the situation and his expression was unusually heavy. Chu Yang was only at heaven stage previously. This was confirmed by many people. But his cultivation has increased by so much now? It's so strong that even a heaven stage expert can't resist. Could it be that he had been holding back all this while? Did he really hide so much? So much? This is really hard to say. If his real strength is like this, it's reasonable that we can't see through it. The Sky Sword Alliance elder beside him was shocked. It's just that, such a terrifying murderous aura is unheard of in the human world. It's hard to say what Chu Yang's real strength is, but I think it shouldn't be to this extent. I reckon that the reason why he's so strong now is that he used some kind of mysterious secret technique to activate some kind of powerful force for his own use. However, we still don't know what's going to happen. We can only come to a conclusion after seeing Chu Yang's performance after the battle. Once this power is completely released, Chu Yang will die or be seriously injured. This means that although this power is powerful, it has a huge flaw or drawback. However, if Chu Yang is safe and sound in the end, it means that Chu Yang's strength has reached such a level. His usual self is just a layer of disguise. The elder of the Heavenly Sword Alliance said in a heavy voice, if it's really the latter, it means that the Heavenly Imperial Court has another expert who's comparable to the Heavenly Imperial Court will be in trouble from now on. Yun Tian sucked in a breath of cold air. His pupils shrank. Please don't let it be the latter result. Otherwise, how could he compete with Chu Yang? Yun Tian said softly, if Yuan Shitu is really killed by Chu Yang, what will the consequences be? The elder smiled bitterly. This is foreseeable. With Yuan Shitu's identity, Mo Yun Tian will definitely face a disaster. None of the people from the two big sects who came here will survive. Moreover, these three super sects will definitely suffer a great loss. Yun Tian frowned and said, what about Eastern Royal Heaven? The elder pondered. That depends on whether Chu Yang is dead or not. But Chu Yang's forces will definitely be destroyed. The Chu clan's courtyard will become a pile of rubble. It's just a matter of time. If Chu Yang really borrowed the power of heaven and earth after this battle, he'll probably die until everyone in the Chu clan's courtyard is dead. If Chu Yang actually survives, the Eastern Royal Heaven will be plunged into a calamity. A catastrophe created by Mo Yun Tian and Eastern Royal Heaven. Yun Tianyin smiled and said, His Majesty Dong Huang won't tolerate it either. If Mo Yun Tian wants to behave atrociously in Eastern Royal Heaven, he's more or less lacking. And Eastern Royal Heaven has the advantage of being the landlord. The elder nodded and said, however, if Chu Yang doesn't die, how much attention will he receive? Yun Tian smiled relaxedly. No matter what, it's always a good thing for us to sit on the mountain and watch the tigers fight. The elder took a deep breath and said, "Yes, so we have to get what we want as soon as possible and send it back as soon as possible." Yun Tian pondered and nodded slowly. In a faraway place, dreamlike veranda, Emo Qingwu screamed inexplicably. She was originally cultivating, but her petite body fell from the sky without any warning. She only felt a sharp pain in her heart. She almost couldn't breathe. At this moment, her heart actually missed Chu Yang so much that it was as if she was going to die. The next moment, her heart suddenly convulsed with pain. Emo Qingwu screamed and fainted. While she was unconscious, Emo Qingwu seemed to have a dream that she didn't want to recall. She dreamed that ZJ returned to the purple bamboo forest in her previous life and was ambushed. Then Chu Yang rushed over and fought ZJ to the death. Suddenly, Emo Qingwu's heart felt empty and sad. Suddenly she felt dizzy again as if she was in another space. There was no one in the surroundings and everything was hazy and white. "Is there anyone here? What the hell is going on? Where is this place?" Emo Qingwu shouted. But it was only you who answered. Silence. It was terrifyingly empty. Emo Qingwu was puzzled when she saw a figure in front of her. She focused her eyes and saw that it was Chu Yang who suddenly appeared in front of her. She was looking at him deeply. It was as if he was an illusion. Chapter 1902. It didn't matter how strange Chu Yang's appearance was. As long as Chu Yang was in front of her again, nothing else mattered. Unexpectedly, when Chu Yang answered Emo Qingwu's question, he only looked at her affectionately. He looked at her in an unusual way. It was full of longing, reluctance, and guilt. "Chu Yang, what's wrong? Did something happen to Esichimi?" Emo Qingwu instinctively felt that something was wrong. She looked carefully and realized that Chu Yang was covered in blood. There seemed to be fresh blood dripping from his body. That was Chu Yang's blood. Chu Yang was injured. "Who hurt you?" Emo Qingwu, who realized this, cried out in heartache. It was even more painful than her injury. She stepped forward wanting to hug Chu Yang. But Chu Yang shook his head slightly and took a step back, avoiding Emo Qingwu. "Qingwu, I'm sorry. I'm really sorry." Chu Yang's voice was full of affection and guilt. No, you didn't hurt me. Tell me what's wrong with you. What's wrong with you? Tell me." Emo Qingwu rushed forward quickly, but Chu Yang was always 3 feet away from her. They were so close, but it was as if they were at the end of the world. He floated in the air and looked at her affectionately. "I'm sorry, I'm really sorry." Chu Yang said softly, "Qingwu, you have no idea how much I like you. Back then you died for me. My heart ached so much that it felt like it would die. After the battle on the Wind Thunder platform when I was about to die, I completely repented. The most precious thing in the world is you, but I lost you so early. Then I'll make a vow. If there's a next life, I'll dance with you. I swear if there's a next life, I'll only love you. I only love you. I only like you. You are my destined wife." Chu Yang said slowly. Emo Qingwu could only feel waves of pain in her heart. She was a little flustered, as if the best thing in her life was leaving her. Don't say any more. I'm all fucking yours. I only want you. Chu Yang, other things aren't important. I only want you. There's no need for me. I'm very satisfied now. Really, really satisfied. I'll dance with you. I'll never regret. No. I want to say it, let me finish." Chu Yang gazed at her face and slowly shook his head. "Since I was reborn in this life, I have made up my mind to protect you. I will use all of my strength to protect you. I will reverse our destinies. I will go against the heavens. I will accompany you for the rest of my life, and I will never leave you. I want to marry you. We'll be together forever." But in the end, I kept my promise to you and broke it again and again. I'm sorry, Qingwu. I said that I wouldn't make you sad, but I didn't do it. Wutian, that day was an accident. I didn't know she was a woman. That day I was drugged with aphrodisiac. Before I died, she saved me. She used her innocence to save me. Then she gave birth to a son for me. I can't. Shen's deep feelings for me, and I've always accepted it. For you, I only wanted to give you the most complete part of me. But you didn't realize that I already owed others too much. When Shen died to save me in the upper 3 heavens, my heart wavered again. Jingwu, I'm sorry. It turns out that I'm also a sentimental person. Or maybe I don't deserve the word sentimental. Take it as me finding excuses for myself. Chu Yang smiled gently. In his smile there were feelings, helplessness, and no regrets. Later on, I became even more confused when I heard about mending the heavens. I can't let her down either. I have to bear the responsibility of a man. So I have to let you down. This is unfair to you. As a husband, as a father, I have to bear the responsibility of letting you down. Because of you, I have to keep the promise I made to you in my previous life. I can't bear the most basic responsibility for them. That's also unfair. My final decision was to break that promise. I can only let you down. I once thought of using my entire life to make up for my guilt and regret. I've also decided, no matter what, I'll make you happy, but I'm afraid I can't do it now. I've actually broken my vow again. My integrity, isn't it terrible? Tears streamed down Mo Qingwu's face as she said, Jiang, I really blame you, even though I'm also angry, and I've also thrown tantrums at you before, but I really blame you. I cherish the fate of our 2 lives more than anyone else. Jiang, please believe me. I really blame you. Your sincerity is very, very good. I've always believed in it. I'm sorry. Chu Yang sighed with relief. He said with a bit of melancholy, I'm really sorry. I'm even more sorry that I can't even give you the most basic happiness now. I'm really too bad as a man. I'm going to disappoint you. Mo Qingwu's body swayed, and her heart shattered into pieces. What's wrong with you? What's wrong? It's the truth. Butian was captured. I wanted to save her. But the enemy was too strong. So strong that it exceeded my limits. In order to save Butian, I used a forbidden technique that I can't use. I'm destined to die. Chu Yang smiled. Qingwu, don't blame Butian. Butian is also my woman. Qingwu, I can do anything for you. I can disregard life and death for you. But I can also do anything for her. I just hope you don't blame me. Please don't be angry at me. Chu Yang smiled and looked at her affectionately. He slowly flew back and increased his speed. Qingwu, in the future you must take care. You must take care. Don't go, don't leave me. Mo Qingwu screamed crazily. Her tears flowed like a fountain. Chu Yang, don't go. I'll listen to you in the future. I won't be angry at you. I can accept anything. I just beg you not to go. Don't go. It's too late. Chu Yang's blood-soaked body slowly blurred. His eyes were still smiling. Qingwu, I really love you. I'll love you forever. Don't go, you liar. You said that you'll accompany me forever. You said that you'll marry me. You said it, you made a solemn promise. Mo Qingwu chased after him frantically. If you dare to leave, I won't forgive you forever. I won't forgive you forever. Don't even think about leaving me alone. Don't go. Qingwu, take care. Chu Yang's body was like a ray of light. In the blink of an eye, he disappeared thousands of miles away. Qingwu, my most beloved, take care. His voice lingered in the air and still reverberated in the ears. But Chu Yang's silhouette had completely disappeared. Liar. You liar. Sob, sob, sob. If you dare to leave, I'll die in front of you. Don't even think about leaving me alone. Mo Qingwu cursed crazily and wailed, Chu Yang, don't go. Urun woke up in shock, only to find Master ZJ looking at him with concern. Qingwu, wake up. What's wrong? Did you have a nightmare? Mo Qingwu looked around blankly, only to find that ZJ was lying on the bed. It turned out that she had a dream just now, a nightmare. But how could this dream be so real? She clearly didn't want to think about it at all, but all the scenes were vivid in her mind, and she didn't forget a single detail. The dream was completely brought to reality. Tears were still falling from ZJ's eyes, and the throbbing pain in his heart was still going on. He was still in fear, still in despair. What's wrong with me? How did this happen? Why did you fall down when you were fine? Are you hurt? The beautiful woman looked at Mo Qingwu worriedly. Mo Qingwu gasped for breath. Then she jumped up and said, Master, I want to go out for a while. Go out? Where are you going? The beautiful woman was puzzled. Mo Qingwu's body, which was in the midst of sprinting outside, stopped abruptly. She was at a loss. Yes, where am I going? Where's Chu Yang? I don't know him at all. How can I find him? Where am I going to find him? Heaven and earth are vast. In the vast and boundless heavenly imperial court, finding a newcomer who had just ascended was like finding a needle in a haystack. Mo Qingwu looked around blankly, only to find that ZJ was all alone in this world. She felt an inexplicable pain in her heart again. She spat out a mouthful of blood and shouted, Chu Yang, don't go. She fell down stiffly. As long as you don't die, as long as you don't leave, I'm willing to return this life of mine to the heavens. What's the harm in exchanging a life for a life? Chu Yang, don't go, don't die. Mo Qingwu was unconscious, her body kept twitching and she kept calling out silently, calling out to the person on the other side of her heart. What exactly happened to you? Jiangnan. Small courtyard. Zi Sheqing got up in shock, her heart was in a mess. Somehow there seemed to be someone talking, but it was so vague. She couldn't see Kangchu. She frowned and pondered, wanting to see Kangchu, wanting to think about Kangchu, but there seemed to be a cloud of fog in front of her, covering her eyes and her heart. Her heart started to throb painfully. Zi Sheqing let out a muffled groan, bent down and clutched her chest, her eyes filled with panic. She realized that Zijie's heart was actually in a complete mess. What's going on? She remembered something. At this moment she inexplicably thought of Chu Yang. She thought of the poem that Zijie left behind when he left. Hidden in the high clouds in the wind, I travel alone to the ends of the world. If we meet again in the clouds, I ask you to sweep away the fallen flowers in Jiangnan. Her heart skipped a beat and she muttered, something happened to him? A voice said softly, the fallen flowers are like a dream, dreams are empty and illusory, the vanity of the mortal world, flowers fall in dreams, Big Sister Z take care. In her mind, Chu Yang's figure quickly disappeared into the distance. Chapter 1903. A strong sense of foreboding enveloped Zi Sheqing's heart. She stood up in frustration and paced back and forth in the courtyard. The more she thought about it, the more confused she became. She had no idea what was going on at all. A young man in white rushed in. Miss Z, what happened? Zi Sheqing frowned and said, during this period of time, something big happened in the heavenly imperial court? The young man in white scratched his head and said blankly, where did it happen? What the hell? Zi Sheqing said impatiently, then the person I asked you to investigate last time, have you found out who the hell is? What the hell? The young man in white was a little ashamed. But before he finished speaking he was kicked out by Zi Sheqing. Although Zi Sheqing's temper was a little irritable, she was usually very restrained. At this moment for some reason she couldn't help but fly into a rage. You can't even investigate one person. Are you still the empress of the demon race? The young man in white was confused. He was about to explain when he saw that Zi Sheqing actually ignored him. She just frowned and muttered to herself, what's wrong with you? What's wrong with you? Lower three heavens. Palace. Emperor Taiyang looked up suddenly, his eyes filled with deep sorrow. What's wrong? What's wrong? What's wrong? He felt infinitely lonely, as if he had lost the greatest protection in this world, and had become an orphan without any relatives. Don't abandon me. The little emperor's tears flowed like a spring. On the other side of the Heaven Imperial Court, the Tribulation brothers were doing something. At this moment they were orderly and solemn. Mo Chenji threw out the copper coin of destiny and hurriedly calculated. Everyone felt restless and started to miss Chu Yang endlessly. What's wrong? Click. Click, click. Chu Yang was still walking forward coldly. His footsteps were consistent and clear, just like an ordinary person walking. His eyes were calm and his face was calm. There was no fluctuation at all. He just walked forward step by step. But the Chu Yang now was actually so terrifying. Just like the god of death walking in the mortal world, everywhere he passed, there was only endless silence. The tribulation sword in Chu Yang's hand was actually flickering with blood-red light. With each step, at least 7 or 8 ghost hunter experts would die, their primordial souls destroyed. Brothers, I said that I would create a legend with you. It was a pity, but I had to leave first. You have to be well. All of you have to create your own legends. Chu Yang's ashen eyes looked forward. This will. There were only 5 people left. The 5 of them were like lambs waiting to be slaughtered. They looked at Chu Yang in fear and trembled. One of them was Yuan Shetu. Yuan Shu too was the young master of Mo Yin Tian after all. Even though this incident was caused by him, as long as he was still the young master, the ghost hunter and the others had to ensure his safety first. Even if he had to use ZJ's life in exchange, he had to do it. This was the sorrow of being inferior. As for the other 3, they were the ones who had gone to the Chu clan's courtyard to cause trouble. The reason why they were able to survive until now was partly because of their strength and partly because of their status. They were the few people with the highest status in Mo Yuntian's group, and also the few with the strongest strength. But at this moment, these 3 people's faces were ashen, and their eyes flashed with despair. The others were all dead. As the culprits, they were at least accomplices. How could they be forgiven by this killing god in front of them? But, under this kind of heaven-suppressing power, they couldn't even think of resisting. They could only wait to be killed. This kind of sex is driving me crazy. Under the three people's desperate gazes, Chu Yang didn't say anything and strode forward. He raised his sword and the sword light flew out. These three strongest experts of the ghost region still couldn't resist at all. Their heads flew high up in the air. Blood spurted out from their necks. This horrible scene made the scalps of Yang Bo and the other experts of the Snow Immortal Sea who were looking at it go numb. These three people were real experts, and they were definitely not inferior to ZJ's experts. But these three people, the masters of the masters, were killed without any ability to resist. Even if it was killing a chicken, it had to struggle. But now that he was killing people, he didn't even need to struggle. The 300 to 400 people from the other two super sects, who belonged to Mo Yintian, all turned pale. The thousands of people around them were all controlling ZJ, not daring to let him make any sound. They didn't even dare to breathe. Yuan Sheta looked at Chu Yang in horror. His whole body was shaking like an old sow, and his heart was already filled with regret. Isn't it just a woman? Can't you find her anywhere? Even if you can't find a purine body, you can find someone else to replace her. Why did you have to provoke Chu Yang? You were already killed by him once, but you still want to provoke him. You're really looking for death, and you're looking for death again and again. Spare me, spare me. Yuan Sheta retreated step by step in panic. Other than these three words, he couldn't say anything else. Chu Yang held his sword and walked forward coldly. He was completely indifferent. The last of the 5 people mentioned before was the black-clothed old man with white beard. That old man was still able to keep calm at this moment. It was obvious that he had a good temperament. The old man let out a long sigh and said loudly, "Sir, this matter is indeed our fault, but now that you've killed so many people, I believe you've vented your anger enough. Why don't we all sit down and have a good talk? If you're still dissatisfied, we're willing to compensate you. We'll accept any price. We just want to appease your anger, how about it?" Chu Yang looked at him coldly. He didn't respond at all and continued to walk forward. The black-clothed old man with white beard took a step forward and said in a deep voice, "Sir, you have to reconsider. Once you do something, there's no turning back. Your cultivation is indeed earth-shattering, but my young master is not an ordinary person. My young master is—" Before he finished speaking, a sword light flashed. The black-clothed old man with white beard looked at the long sword in disbelief. It was like a brilliant flowing light that caught up with time. It crossed the boundary of time and space and pierced into his heart. Chu Yang actually allowed him to finish his last sentence. Blood slowly flowed out from the corner of his mouth. He looked at Chu Yang blankly and said, "You'll regret it. You'll definitely regret it." Whether or not the Chu Yang of the past would have regretted today's events was uncertain. But the Chu Yang of the present wouldn't. Because the word regret meant something to him. Chu Yang coldly held his long sword horizontally. His chest was cut open. With a schwa sound, his body turned into 2 pieces and fell to the ground. Poof! It turned into black ashes. In front of him there was only one Yuan Shetu, the last person of Mo Yuntian's ghost region. "Don't kill me." Yuan Shetu wailed and knelt down. "Don't kill me. I'm wrong. I won't dare to do it again." The sword light flashed. One of Yuan Shetu's arms fell down. He screamed. Chu Yang coldly said, "Snatching my woman?" This was the first time Chu Yang spoke since the start of this massacre. Yuan Shetu screamed loudly. His whole body trembled and his soul left his body. Poof! Another sword strike. Yuan Shetu's left shoulder also fell down. Chu Yang lightly said, "Rushing to my house to snatch my woman?" Yuan Shu was moaning, crying and saying "shit me" meaninglessly. The sword light flashed again. Both of Yuan Shetu's legs were cut off at the knees. Before he screamed, Chu Yang's sword stabbed into his crotch. He coldly said, "Even if you're dead, you're not qualified to be a man." Everyone around felt their scalps tingle. But no one dared to act rashly. Under the watchful eyes of the crowd, Chu Yang slowly dismembered Yuan Shu Lu. Pieces of meat flew out and bones were picked clean. Then they were placed on the ground. However, Yuan Shetu couldn't die yet. He couldn't die even if he begged for it. He could only howl and scream in agony. His mind was clear as he endured the bloodiest punishment in the world. Chu Yang mechanically stabbed Yuan Shetu with his sword. At this moment, Chu Yang didn't have any specific thoughts. He only remembered one thing. This guy was a sworn enemy of Yuan Shetu. At this point, the destructive force finally began to fade. Chu Yang also slowly felt that Yuan Shetu's body was a little weak. His mind that had completely disappeared earlier was also gradually recovering. In a flash, he understood everything. He couldn't help but laugh bitterly. His sword pierced into Yuan Shetu's throat. The power that Yuan Shetu exchanged with his life was about to disappear. He couldn't let any change happen again. With a spin of the sword, Yuan Shetu's head flew up. Die. Then the sword light flashed violently. Bright light overflowed. Yuan Shetu's head turned into pieces in mid-air. His flesh and bones were all turned into powder. The massacre finally came to an end. But the onlookers didn't relax at all. Chuyang slowly turned around. His cold eyes swept across the faces of the experts who were watching the battle. No matter who he saw, that person couldn't help but turn his face away. This kind of ferocious and cruel gaze made everyone tremble in fear. The huge wound on Chuyang's chest started to bleed again. Chuyang could clearly feel ZJ's vitality and mental strength depleting uncontrollably at the YD point. I'm going to leave this world again. Chuyang smiled bitterly and thought to himself, this life is really much stronger than the previous one. Since I started my career, the people that I care about the most are my family, my women, and my brothers. Chuyang endured the dizziness. His cold and sharp eyes looked at everyone's faces. He held his sword in front of his chest and looked down at everyone. Blood dripped from the calamity sword and fell to the ground. The surroundings were silent. This is my bottom line. Chuyang said softly, whoever dares to cross this line will face the consequences. He pointed the tip of his sword at the messy corpses in front of him. There was a pool of blood and flesh on the ground. Chuyang smiled faintly and said indifferently, let's settle our grudges first. What's there to be afraid of? Shuexian's face turned green and white. Hai Lianbo was also regretful. To be continued? Chapter 1904. Their two clans originally had the best chance to be friends with Chuyang, but they chose to stay away from him. And now they were being reprimanded by Chuyang and even had to worry about him settling the score. This kind of sex is too suffocating and will drive anyone crazy. What's wrong with a poor man finding out that a mountain of gold slipped through his fingers? Both of them are in a state of panic now. Not only that, they are also afraid that the gold mountain will crush them to death if it doesn't stop there. Blood flowed faster and faster from the wound on Chuyang's chest. That invincible power was also dissipating rapidly. Gradually he couldn't hold on any longer. Chuyang stood up. Slowly, even his vision became a little blurry. He swayed a little and lowered the tip of his sword to support ZJ's body, not letting ZJ show any signs of weakness. So, I actually can't bear to die either. Chuyang laughed bitterly in his heart. Chuyang? A shrill cry rang out. Tai Budian had finally woken up. When she saw Chuyang standing there just like that, she cried out in terror. Chuyang finally relaxed. He raised his head reluctantly. Tian Tian, a violent wave of dizziness washed over him. He fell down like a mountain of gold. Tai Budian pounced over as if she didn't care about her life. She hugged Chuyang's weak body and said sorrowfully, how are you? Don't scare me, your injury, the heavy pill, where's the heavy pill? Tai Budian used ZJ's hand to cover Chuyang's wound in vain, as if trying to stop the rapid flow of blood. However, the blood continued to gush out, dripping from the gaps between her fingers. Tai Budian burst into tears. Her hands clutched Chuyang's chest tightly, not knowing what to do. No, don't die, don't. Her face was full of tears as she shook her head frantically. The current Tai Budian didn't have the demeanor of a ruler at all. She was just a pitiful young lady who was about to lose her true love. She didn't know what to do, she was in despair and sorrow. You're all right, that's great. Chuyang's voice was extremely weak. But he smiled in satisfaction. I was afraid. I was afraid that I would be late. I'm fine. Nothing must happen to you too. Absolutely nothing must happen to you. Promise me. Your medicine, hurry up and take it. Tai Budian burst into tears. I can't do it anymore. Chuyang smiled like a child. I used my last move. That is the last move that can take any enemy down with me. This injury. Even heavy pills can't cure it. Tian Tian, I'm sorry, in the future. In the future. I can't protect you anymore. No. Tai Budian shook her head frantically. I need you to protect me. What I need. I will always need your protection. Don't leave me, don't be naive. Chuyang said softly, Tian Tian, you've always been a strong person. You must look after our family and our children. He forced his eyes open. He looked at Tai Budian gently and said, when you see Chanshan in the future, don't worry. When you see Qingwu, tell them to be well. Tai Buqian's heart suddenly felt empty. It became empty. The surrounding heaven and earth disappeared. Only Chu Yang's words were left. Every word was like a huge hammer that smashed into ZJ's heart. ZJ's mind went blank. It was as if ZJ's body was in a mess. Her body seemed to be floating weightlessly. Actually, men should be like this in the first place? Chuyang chuckled. She looked blankly ahead but couldn't see anything. To die in order to protect. It's a worthy death. To die, like a man. Don't cry, don't cry. I love it when you smile. Chuyang forced himself to reach out with a smile on his face, as if he wanted to wipe away the tears at the corners of Tai Butian's eyes. His fingers were getting closer and closer, but when his hand was halfway there, it fell limply. The smile on his face froze in an instant. It didn't move anymore. Chuyang. Tai Butian let out a heart-wrenching roar. But Chuyang still maintained his smile, and didn't have any other reaction. On the tip of the Calamity Sword, light flickered and seemed to be jumping. It seemed to be grieving. All of this indicated that the master of the Calamity Sword had fallen in the heavenly imperial court. Tai Butian looked on blankly. Then she smiled foolishly. Husband, the road to the Yellow Springs is long. Are you afraid to walk alone? You're not afraid of me. You've been afraid of anyone and everything in this world. But I'm really scared to be left alone. I'm really scared to have you in this world. I'm really scared. I'm scared of everything in this world. Tai Butian said gently. She took the Calamity Sword from Chuyang and held it in her hands lovingly. The sharp edge of the Calamity Sword cut her delicate hand. Blood flowed out, but she didn't seem to feel it. She stood up slowly. She hugged Chuyang. Chuyang's body was huge and his legs were especially long. More than half of them hung in the crook of her arms. Tai Butian was once the leader of the five and ruled the world. But I'm still a woman with a husband. Tai Butian's expression was perplexed but firm. I have a husband. No matter where he is, I'll accompany him. How can I let him walk alone in the Yellow Springs? A wife treats her husband as her sky. If my husband dies, my sky will collapse. Tai Butian smiled bitterly. Since my sky has collapsed, so what if I live? So what if I die? Husband, I can't care about others and I don't want to care. But I'm really scared. Please take me with you. Tai Butian smiled miserably. She raised the Calamity Sword and stabbed it into Chuyang's heart without hesitation. I'll follow you in life and death. The Calamity Sword suddenly flickered with a glaring light. Thick blood gushed out from Tai Butian's chest. Much of it flowed into the wound in Chuyang's heart and merged together. Tai Butian held the Calamity Sword with both hands and stabbed it into Chuyang's chest. She sat down slowly on the ground with Chuyang in her arms. She gently placed Chuyang's body on Chuyang's body, afraid that it would hurt him. Let's go together. If we go together, we'll never be separated. Tai Butian grabbed Chuyang's indiscernible illusory jade and crushed it. On the stage, the ordinary-looking woman immediately disappeared, and in her place was a peerless beauty that could topple nations. Tai Butian smiled sweetly. My husband is also very proud. To accompany him with such a face is too embarrassing. At this moment, I'm showing my true face to the world. I'll follow you to hell. She lowered her head slowly and looked at Chuyang's face with deep affection. She said lovingly, let's go together? Her body trembled slightly and Irun stopped moving. The unparalleled celestial emperor of Iron Cloud. To walk in the spring with her lover. Everyone around watched this soul-stirring scene unfold. They were so shocked that they were speechless. Yun Tian bit his lips. Watching Tai Butian commit suicide, a hint of regret and guilt flashed across his eyes. Then he secretly heaved a sigh of relief. Chuyang's sword technique was indeed a forbidden technique that would cause mutual destruction. This terrifying enemy of his was finally dead. However, did he die because of Chuyang's plan? The others also had different expressions and emotions. When Chuyang used his heart's blood to destroy all tribulations, the sword spirit was completely useless. The sword spirit was completely useless. At this moment, the sword spirit was in the space. His face was resolute. Since this is the case, since the Tribulation Sword Master can't break through the heavenly tribulation, do I have to start over again and serve other mediocre Tribulation Sword Masters? After Chuyang, who else in this world can be worthy of my attention? Moreover, he's my brother. He treated me as a brother and treated me with sincerity. Now that he's dead, how can I just disappear with the Tribulation Sword? Wait for the next reincarnation? Forget it, I'll go with you. The sword spirit lay down slowly and gathered Chuyang's nirvana flame in the depths of his soul. Once the Tribulation Sword disintegrated due to the Tribulation Sword Master's death and the Tribulation Space collapsed, Chuyang would also disappear. He wouldn't stay in this world anymore. The sword spirit sneered. If such a person can't do it, who else can? I won't serve him anymore. I've lived for so many years with my brother. I'm tired of being old. In the tribulation sword, the shadow was anxiously tearing at Chu Yang's hair. How can this be? How can this be? How can this be? If he came out first, Chu Yang wouldn't die. But after Chu Yang activated the tribulation sword with my blood, even if he came out, it would be too late. It wouldn't be of any help. Using my blood to destroy tribulation sword was an irreversible ultimate forbidden technique. If it wasn't for the high price that required all lives in exchange, how could the person who executed this technique have such unimaginable power? Even if he came out, he wouldn't be able to change the fact that he was going to destroy tribulation sword. At least he had the ability to do so. As far as he knew, there were at most 2 people who could reverse the situation in the entire universe and the chaos firmament. But those 2 people weren't here now. In other words, Chu Yang was doomed. In the distant starry sky, on a blue planet, a young man in white who was fishing by the sea seemed to have sensed something. His gaze passed through the endless space and he muttered to himself, Are you also like this? Not bad, not bad. Beside him, a beautiful woman who didn't seem to be from this world asked suspiciously, What's wrong? Nothing. Let's continue fishing, huh? The young man in white smiled and moved the fishing rod in his hand. He couldn't help but laugh. What a big fish. It's taken the bait. The beautiful woman couldn't help but roll her eyes. With your cultivation, if you want to catch fish, you don't even need to blow. At most, you just need to glare and all the fish in the sea will float up with their bellies facing up. But now you're actually fishing here slowly and you're so excited after catching a fish. Who are you trying to fool? Only a ghost would believe you. The beautiful woman rolled her eyes and wrinkled her nose. She snorted and turned to leave. This flirtatious look of rolling her eyes stunned the young man in white. He looked at her lecherously. The fishing rod in his hand slipped out of his hand and was dragged away by the fish in the sea. Chapter 1905. Heaven Imperial Court. Baidu search P.com, outside Purple Cloud City. Chu Yang and Tai Budian were lying in each other's arms. The blood that flowed out of their hearts had gathered into a ball and flowed. Seeing this scene, everyone around them slowly breathed a sigh of relief. Finally, that terrifying aura that made one's heart tremble completely disappeared. This terrifying person was also finally dead. Luckily he was dead. Otherwise, this world would probably be in chaos. At the side, Yun Tian, Mo Lu, Zi Huang and the others looked even more complicated. Seeing one of their old enemies die in front of them, and in such a heroic and domineering way at that, all of them had mixed feelings and were indescribable. There was only one thing to be thankful for. Finally, they didn't have to face this terrifying person head-on. But they were more or less disappointed in their hearts. Tidy up. Yun Tian sighed. Although Chu Yang is dead, but he is still a man worthy of our respect. Help him to be buried properly. Suddenly, a voice accompanied by faint laughter rang out. Who said he is dead? Everyone was startled. Then they realized that a white-robed man had appeared at the scene without them knowing. No one realized how he had come. He had suddenly appeared here, as if he had always been here from the beginning to the end. This white-robed man just stood in front of everyone with his hands behind his back, blocking everyone's view of Chu Yang and Tai Budian. All the experts, including those who were facing this white-robed man, could only see his back view. There was a layer of faint white light on his body. Through this white light, only a figure could be seen. Even his figure couldn't be seen, let alone his face. This was originally a situation that shouldn't have happened, but it had happened just like that. Everyone even had an inexplicable feeling that this was how it should be. As if this was how it should be. This was how it should be. Many of the people present were tyrants of the current era. They had strong minds and instantly detected the abnormality. Subconsciously, they used their divine senses to spy on the white-robed man in front of them. But to their surprise they found that this person had an extremely tight layer of defense on his body, which blocked off any divine senses from prying. Anyone who tried to spy on him would feel an intense pain, as if their divine senses were being burned by fire. A wave of intense fear instantly attacked everyone. A freak had just died and now another one like this had appeared. They were both indescribably powerful. No, although Chu Yang was powerful, there was still a limit. He probably hadn't surpassed the limit of the Saint Realm, but this man in white. But it was truly unfathomable. This was far beyond the scope of everyone's knowledge. They saw this white-robed man pick up Chu Yang and Tai Butian's body with one hand. He grabbed Tai Budian with one hand and said indifferently, "Everyone, you'd better go back as soon as possible. Help me inform them that tonight's auction will be changed to tomorrow night. All the rules will remain the same." Then he stood up. With a whoosh, he disappeared without a trace. Just like that, he casually jumped into the air and disappeared just like that. Only corpses were left on the ground. Everyone looked at each other in dismay. Everyone had seen it clearly, but they were all puzzled. Chu Yang and Tai Butian were clearly dead. Moreover, their souls had scattered and dispersed. The auction definitely needed Chu Yang to preside over it. But Chu Yang was already dead. So, how could there still be an auction? Also, that white-robed man had clearly said that Chu Yang wasn't dead. But, with thousands of eyes here, how could he still be alive when he was already dead? Could it be that everyone's eyes were blind? For a moment, everyone felt a little dizzy. Of course, the most dizzy thing was, who exactly was that white-robed man? Why did he suddenly appear here? And he was so ridiculously powerful, so unfathomable. On the infinite boundless mountain, a white shadow flew over at high speed. So many people on the mountain didn't notice it at all. That person's movement speed was really too fast. It had already exceeded the limits of what humans could sense. At most, in a thousandth of an instant, the white-robed man had already reached the mountain peak. The long sword sealed in the soul-suppressing stone shone with a cold light. Without any warning, it was pulled up automatically. Without another word, that white shadow grabbed Chu Yang and Tai Butian's bodies and plunged in. The sword intent and the long sword fell back again. Everything returned to normal as if nothing had happened. Perhaps it was because everything had happened too quickly that no one had noticed the difference between the two of them. Under the soul-suppressing stone, in the land of the realm of God Source, the divine spirit of the calamity was flying here and there. Chu Yang and that extremely terrifying fellow had already left. Wasn't he the one who had the final say here? At least he had peace and quiet. There was no plague. Just this benefit alone was enough. How comfortable was that? Although it was definitely a little lonely here, it was still better than being ravaged by others, right? After the previous incident, the divine spirit of the calamity, who was originally excited and couldn't wait to get out, felt as if a bucket of cold water had been poured over his head. For a moment, even his heart turned cold. Although he didn't have that organ now, he still felt his heart turn cold. It was no different from the past, it was really too dangerous outside. A random little fellow of the heaven stage already had such a terrifying backer. Who knew what even more terrifying things were out there? I'd better stay here. Just as he was letting his imagination run wild, a gust of wind suddenly blew in the sky. Wind? The divine spirit of the calamity looked at the sky suspiciously. There hasn't been any wind in this space for tens of thousands of years. Why is there wind now? What's going on? Then, he saw that the fellow who had just gone out not long ago had returned and was lying on the ground without a sound. When the divine spirit of the calamity saw someone, he was suddenly shocked. Tears almost came out of his eyes. Although he had no more tears, he still subconsciously used his soul power to materialize soul liquid to express his excitement. In an instant, he felt as if hundreds of thousands of alpacas were galloping through his heart. Ancestor. Why are you back again? It's not fun here. Didn't you take all the good things away? Why are you back? It's not that I don't welcome you. Didn't you see my tears of excitement? I was just excited to see you back. But there's really nothing left. When he went forward to take a look, he was directly shocked again. My goodness, how could this be? How did it become like this in such a short time? As far as the eye could see, Chu Yang's eyes were tightly shut. There was a smile on his face, but he wasn't breathing at all. It would be fine if he wasn't breathing, but there wasn't even the slightest fluctuation of his divine spirit. This meant that the matter was serious. This was a sign of complete death. Moreover, it was the kind of death with his divine spirit destroyed and beyond redemption. The divine spirit of the calamity wailed loudly. His soul liquid flowed out as if it was free. Ancestor. You are my ancestor. If you want to die, don't die in my place. How do you want me to explain this? If that evil god ancestor sees you like this, I don't know how to think about it. This is going to kill me. Oh heavens, oh earth. You can't play with me like this. Oh. The divine spirit of the calamity's current state of mind. All of it was vividly reflected in the last three words. Immediately after, with another pew sound, another body fell from the sky. This person was a woman. This woman was extremely beautiful. Even in such a situation, the divine spirit of the calamity still felt that she was stunning. However, what was regrettable was that she was also not breathing. Her divine spirit was also gone. She was also a corpse, the kind that couldn't be more dead. What a pity. The divine spirit of the calamity clicked his tongue repeatedly. Such a beauty, but there's actually someone who is willing to destroy her. What a real bastard. Huh. What did you say? A voice said with some surprise. Oh, so it's you? I didn't expect you to really cultivate the divine spirit of the calamity. Not bad, really not bad. Although there's one more, it's not a big deal. The divine spirit of the calamity had goosebumps all over his body. He turned around like a whirlwind and saw that not far behind him, a white-robed man was standing with his hands behind his back, looking at him with a gentle smile. Oh, God. The divine spirit of the calamity sat on the ground. With a pop sound, his eyes exploded and turned into two clouds of black smoke. It was really too unexpected. Too shocking. This white-robed man had a gentle and elegant face. He was wearing a long robe. His hair was as black as ink and his face was like jade. He had 3 strands of black beard on his chin. His nose was like a hanging gallbladder and his eyes were like shooting stars. He was really handsome and elegant. In addition, he exuded a very obvious scholarly demeanor. He was really elegant, and people couldn't help but have a good impression of him. However, in front of such an amiable and nice person, the divine spirit of the calamity was already scared out of his wits. Beep, 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 beep. Little brother. The divine spirit of the calamity was so scared that he was stuttering. Beep, beep, beep. Emperor. What? The white-robed man sighed. It's really been hard on you. It's been so many years and you actually still remember what I look like. How rare. Facing the person in question, the divine spirit of the calamity no longer had the heroic spirit that he had in the morning when he was scolding Shui Leihan and the heavenly emperor of purple clouds. He lowered his voice and bowed with a fawning expression. Beep, beep, beep. Little brother. You're even more elegant than before. This. Of course, I still remember you clearly. I won't dare to forget you for the rest of my life. This white-robed man was undoubtedly Shui Leihan, the Emperor of the East. He nodded, still wearing that amiable expression. He asked gently, well, don't tell me you still hate me and want to take revenge on me? So, this is a good opportunity. I'm really too busy and it's rare for me to have free time. No. Tribulation's divine soul said repeatedly. He had never realized that he was so eloquent. How could you? Your Majesty has always been kind to me. I have no way to repay your kindness, so I can only do my best to repay your kindness. How could I dare to offend the Majesty of the Tiger? Even if I have 10,000 guts, even if your Majesty lends me 10,000 guts, I still wouldn't dare to do it. I hope your Majesty can see clearly. I'm just a wandering soul now. When I see your Majesty's face, I'm terrified. P.S. Let's say something. I have a habit. No matter what I do, I'll say the ugly words first. This way everyone will know what to do. In these 7 days I can't help but work hard. The gap is too big. I've almost smoked 2 cartons of cigarettes these few days. I sleep less than 3 hours a day on average. I've prepared 4 boxes of Red Bull. Looking at the current progress, it won't be enough until tomorrow night. I'm so excited that I'm about to kill someone. My mind is also very clear. I'm not saying this to gain any sympathy. I'm saying this to make one thing clear. I've indeed worked very hard these few days. But it's absolutely impossible to maintain this state for a month. If that's the case, everyone should be sending me reads instead of monthly tickets, haha. After the end of the double, I have to have a rest period. I hope everyone can understand this. I'll definitely go all out this month. But I can't guarantee that there won't be any more outbursts like the double. Can everyone understand me? By then, please don't say, Feng Ling won't go all out because she cheated the monthly tickets. Then I'll cry. I'll give you a heads up in advance. Chapter 1906. Shui Leihan frowned. Baidu search P.C. OM, how could this guy be so obsequious? What were they talking about? They didn't match. Which one was it? He remembered that when this guy was still alive, he still had some strength of character. Why did he seem like a completely different person now? He could not help but frown and ask, I say, are you really Mei Shangren? The divine soul of the calamity nodded and bowed. Yes, it's me. The Emperor has a good memory. After all this time, you still remember my lowly name. The Emperor is wise and mighty, unparalleled in the world. Shui Leihan asked in confusion. Back then you were already one of the top experts in the world. Although you died back then and turned into the divine soul of the calamity you are now, the divine soul of the calamity can still be cultivated. But why did you cultivate it? Why don't you have any backbone at all? I can see that your cultivation isn't weak at all. It was impossible to lose one's backbone through cultivation. The divine soul nodded and bowed, then said flatteringly, my insignificant power is nothing. How could I be worthy of the emperor's attention? I'm not worth mentioning. As for my backbone, I don't even have any bones left. What backbone do I have? Moreover, what's the use of having a backbone in front of an emperor? Shui Leihan was exasperated. This guy was really straightforward. However, even if the bones were gone, there shouldn't be such a huge change. You can even drag me into whether I have a backbone or not. You're really good at bullshitting. Could it be that something happened to you during this period of time? Shui Leihan recalled what the spirit of the tribulation had said when he first came in. He asked, oh right, why did you call my brother little ancestor? The soul of the calamity shuddered all over. His eyes shone with extreme shock and incomparable shock. Little brother? What? So this little ancestor was His Majesty the Donghuang's little brother? My dear ancestor. My dear ancestor. Calamity was stunned. You tricked me once and you still think it's not enough. You want to trick me a second time. You tricked me while you're still alive. Even after you're dead, you're still trying to screw me over, and even worse than the last time. Speak, what exactly happened? Shui Leihan asked. Calamity Kobe held the thought that nothing could be more sorrowful than death, so he decided to be a bachelor and murmured, he came in this morning? Shui Leihan understood. He immediately understood. That's nothing. He didn't die in your hands, did he? The soul of the calamity immediately burst into tears. He never expected Shui Leihan to be so easy to talk to. Instantly, a thought of, a gentleman dies for his bosom friend, arose in his mind. He said, Your Majesty. You are truly wise and understanding of the world. You are truly too reasonable. Shui Leihan was a little puzzled, but seeing that it was about time, he said, forget it, it's really too tiring to talk to you now. Now go and walk around somewhere else. I'll treat my brother's injuries first. Only this place was relatively quiet. Let me borrow it. I'll leave when I'm done. Yes, please feel free to use it. Please be at ease. The divine soul of the calamity bowed gratefully, then slipped away. He left so quickly. That's great. I didn't expect the emperor to be such a good person. Why didn't I realize it before? I shouldn't have scolded him earlier, but that little one was really too ruthless. He clearly had such an extremely powerful bodyguard, yet he was actually sworn brothers with the East Emperor. This background. Oh my god, what kind of person was this? Such a person came in pretending to be weak and almost caused the old man to disappear? Even a person who pretended to be weak to eat the tiger wouldn't be as ruthless and thorough as you. Shui Leihan arranged Chuyang and Tai Budian side by side. He shook his head and sighed. What a pair of fools. Tai so cute. I like it, I admire it so. Ever since Tai Budian was snatched away, Shui Leihan had been following them all the way here. He saw everything that happened. It was only until Chuyang said, with my heart's blood, I will destroy everything, that he finally heaved a sigh of relief. He intervened and brought the two of them over. If Shui Leihan wasn't confident, how could he allow Chuyang to die in front of him? Shui Leihan knew Imo Qinggu. In the previous life, Shui Leihan was a mutual friend of Imo Qinggu and Chuyang. In the beginning, he was also a little uncomfortable with Chuyang becoming a little fickle later on. But after understanding the whole story, he was relieved. Now that he saw Tai Budian die for Chuyang with his own eyes, he finally completely accepted this brother-in-law of his. Looking at Chuyang and shaking his head, Shui Leihan smiled bitterly. It really wasn't easy to force you to use this move of, with my heart's blood, I will destroy everything. As he spoke, he grabbed Chuyang's hand and placed it next to Tai Butian's. Their palms were facing each other. He murmured, before she died, she self-detonated the fifth supreme martial artist's royal aura. She was really determined to die. Oh well, I'll let this sister-in-law bask in your glory as well. Then he reached out and took out all the heaven-nourishing jade from the tribulation space. I've prepared this for 10,000 years. It's finally time to use it. Brother, do you really think that the one who can mend the heavens on the three lives path is your little lover? The consequences of misunderstanding the prophecy are still quite serious. But there's a reward for all the effort. The reward is here now. The three lives path is Tai Budian mending your heavens and also mending each other's heavens. You used a man's responsibility to mend her three lives path. She used her steel-like true feelings and the royal aura of a human emperor to make up for your previous shortcomings. She forcefully reversed your own three lives path. This is what it means to mend the heavens on the three lives path. A plan has been laid out for 10,000 years. The heaven-nourishing jade is like this, so is Thai budding. Even the great miracle medicine is like this. Everything is to mend your heavens. With a light smile, he took out a jade bottle from his bosom. The moment this jade bottle was taken out, the spirit of the tribulation, who was already very far away, looked over in astonishment. Inside, this jade bottle was still in a state where it hadn't been opened yet, but it had already erupted with an unusually strong spiritual energy, causing this quiet realm of the divine source to be in a state of turmoil. What kind of treasure was this? It actually had such an amazing effect. When that expert left behind the tribulation sword that day, he also left behind this heaven and earth creation pill. Shui Leihan was somewhat reluctant to part with it. He stared at it for a long time. Brother, if not for the fact that I really can't afford to offend him, I would have eaten this heaven and earth creation pill long ago. It's better to give it to myself than to give it to anyone else. But it's also not bad that I can keep this bottle. At least I didn't work for nothing. Shui Leihan sighed. He opened the bottle reluctantly and poured out a snow-white and round pill. The moment the pill was taken out, it instantly emitted a gentle white light. In an instant, all the spiritual energy in the realm of the divine source suddenly surged over like a tsunami. They gathered here and rushed into the pill without any regard for their lives. The speed at which the spiritual energy gathered was so fast that it actually drew out a clear shadow in the void and let out a sharp whistle. In the distance, the white bones all over the ground collapsed. The bones that had not been destroyed for 10,000 years had all turned into fine powder at this moment. The spiritual energy howled and turned into a raging dragon that swept across the sky. It rushed toward the heaven and earth creation pill madly. And the small heaven and earth creation pill actually turned into an ocean that could contain hundreds of rivers at this moment, swallowing all the spiritual energy that swept over. Seeing this sudden change as the person involved, Shui Leihan was also shocked. In the past, only pills were taken out to emit spiritual energy, but this was the first time he saw a pill that actually gathered spiritual energy after being taken out. In the blink of an eye, the majestic spiritual energy that had been accumulated in the realm of the divine source for hundreds of thousands of years had already thinned by at least half. After that pill absorbed a huge amount of spiritual energy, it became even more white and sparkling. It actually seemed as if there were mountains, rivers, the sun, the moon, and the stars rotating inside, vivid and lifelike. It's really a good thing. As expected of the heaven and earth creation pill. After having it for so many years, I still have to give it to the fated person in the end. Shui Leihan didn't dare to delay. As he grumbled, he pinched open Chu Yang's chin and placed this one and only heaven and earth creation pill into Chu Yang's mouth. Then he sat cross-legged and pressed one hand against Chu Yang's back, waiting for the pill to take effect. Poof! Suddenly, a very strange sound came from Chu Yang's stomach. Then, to Shui Leihan's surprise, that big hole in Chu Yang's chest, that fatal wound, had mysteriously disappeared just like that. Where the wound was originally, the skin was smooth and tender. It's really effective. Shui Leihan praised sincerely. Then he saw that Chu Yang's body was emitting a fluorescent white light. That white light seemed to be jumping around like flames. The white light gradually extended along Chu Yang's body and slowly reached Tai Butian's body. The wound on Tai Butian's body also healed in an instant, leaving no traces behind. The next moment, the white light became even brighter and even enveloped Shui Leihan. Shui Leihan only felt that his body was actually purified by this white light at this moment. He couldn't help but be overjoyed. This white light can actually purify my body as well. Shui Leihan knew that his body in cultivation, to put it bluntly or honestly, had already reached the pinnacle of the heavenly imperial court. Under such circumstances, it wouldn't be an exaggeration to say that his body was indestructible for eternity. Not to mention purifying his body, just to let his blood and qi circulate for one more cycle was also a rare and miraculous medicine in the heaven imperial court. And this medicinal pill was actually able to completely purify even his own body. This was equivalent to opening up the path to the great Tao for him. I'm basking in Chu Yang's limelight. The next moment, Chu Yang's meridians that had clearly been solidified earlier suddenly started to roll like lava from a volcano. They kept bulging outwards. And the same thing was happening to Tai Butian's body. The next moment, with a loud bang, the meridians in both of their bodies shattered at the same time, until they couldn't be any more shattered. Chapter 1907. A majestic white light passed through their bodies at an extremely fast speed, following the old route and passing through their meridians. Then Shui Leihan realized that their meridians, which had been completely destroyed previously, had actually been repaired. As expected of the Heaven and Earth creation pill, it really has the ability to steal the creation of heaven and earth. It's really impressive. Shui Leihan was so shocked that he was at a loss for words. Indeed, if it's not an elixir that steals the creation of heaven and earth, how can it be called the Heaven and Earth creation pill? It really lives up to its name. Creation. I also finally understand a little of the true meaning of the word creation. Just as his meridians were re-established, Chu Yang's cultivation, which had originally disappeared, actually reappeared, turning into a turbulent airflow and passing through his meridians. This change was even more shocking. In the path of cultivation, one's cultivation would be lost when the body died. This was the law of heaven and earth. Previously, Shui Leihan had judged that the Heaven and Earth creation pill's ability to bring the dead back to life was already a miracle. But he never expected that this pill's effect was not only that, it even restored one's cultivation. Thump, thump, thump. Their hearts, which had stopped beating a long time ago, suddenly started beating again. And it was an abnormally healthy and strong beating. The white light dissipated abruptly, turning into a torrential spiritual energy, rushing through Chu Yang's body. Although it was also moving according to a fixed route, such a huge amount of energy was enough to cause Chu Yang to explode more than 10 times. 100 times. A few hundred times. Shui Leihan let out a soft cry. His abnormally dense cultivation was slowly channeled out, helping Chu Yang to temporarily resist this torrential spiritual energy, allowing it to be channeled into Chu Yang's body in an orderly manner. No wonder that mighty person wanted to leave the elixir in my hands. So this is the reason. In the heavenly imperial court. At the very most, there are only a few people who can resist such a huge amount of medicinal energy. Making use of people is indeed thorough, making the best use of everything. Making use of people's talents? Shui Leihan thought as he channeled his energy. As for why it must only be used after 10,000 tribulations, I'm afraid it's because of the word creation. Shui Leihan thought as he channeled his energy. Slowly, he realized that the medicinal energy actually showed the opposite side of ordinary medicine. Generally speaking, spiritual medicines would at most have great medicinal strength, but the medicinal strength would always decrease with each use. However, this Heaven and Earth fortune pill went against common sense once again. Its power was getting stronger and stronger, and it was continuously pouring into Chu Yang's dantian. As a result, the pressure that Chu Yang had to bear was also getting stronger and stronger. He didn't dare to let his imagination run wild for a moment, and started to circulate his martial power with all his might. If something went wrong, even he would be affected by the enormous medicinal power. If that was the case, that would be an injustice. In a corner of the realm of the divine source. Seeing the drastic change in the scenery, the calamity soul wanted to cry but had no tears. This was the place where he had lived for hundreds of thousands of years. More than half of the spiritual energy had disappeared. How was he going to live in the future? This injured fellow was indeed a jinx. He seems to be the bane of my existence. The moment Chu Yang closed his eyes, he clearly felt that he was rapidly being pulled out of his body. He had completely lost all sense, perception, and connection with the world. Then, he realized that he seemed to have seen a lot of people in that instant. He saw Wu Qianqian, who was bawling loudly. He saw Mo Qingwu and even said goodbye. He saw Zi Xieching, whom he hadn't seen for a long time. He even went to the lower three heavens, then the upper three heavens, and finally the upper three heavens. Other than that, he also saw countless people. Those who were related to him, it didn't matter. Anyway, he had seen them. Then he realized that he seemed to be completely unable to move. His entire body, or rather his consciousness, was wrapped in a ball of light filled with starlight. He was floating, unable to go up to the sky or down to the ground. Chu Yang was puzzled. Why did this seem to be different from the previous time? What was going on? Wasn't the consequence of using the myriad tribulations technique to destroy one's spirit and soul and completely turn into ashes? Why did he seem to still have consciousness? Could it be that he had been reborn again? However, this situation didn't seem to be the case. Then he noticed that the ball of starlight was filled with dense mist, and a graceful figure walked in. She had beautiful eyebrows, phoenix eyes, rosy cheeks, black hair like clouds, and exquisite curves. She was so beautiful that it was difficult to describe, and her beauty was unparalleled in her generation. Was Tai Budian? Why are you here? Chu Yang was puzzled. If he remembered correctly, he was dead, the kind that was completely dead. Now he should only be a spirit that was dissipating. There was a possibility that his spirit and soul would be completely destroyed at any time. This was the inevitable consequence of using the myriad tribulations technique. Although Chu Yang was unwilling to accept this result, he could still face it calmly. After all, he had saved his sweetheart. But Tai Budian was also here. Didn't that mean that it seemed that he had died? Chu Yang? The moment Tai Budian saw Chu Yang, she ran over in surprise and hugged him tightly. "Husband, you're not here anymore. I'm scared. How can I get used to a world without you?" Chu Yang never expected that the domineering empress who had always appeared as a strong woman, who had once controlled the world, who could turn the world upside down with a wave of her hand, who could make the world tremble with a command, who could infuriate her beauty, would actually say something like this one day. Scared. Was there anyone or anything in this world that Tai Budian was scared of? It didn't seem to exist. Chu Yang sighed. "You killed yourself? You killed yourself just like that?" Tai Budian didn't speak. She only looked at him affectionately, her eyes dazed and unblinking. There was actually an indescribable sense of relief and joy in her heart. So, one could really be together after death. "I've seen him again. This is great. Silly girl." Chu Yang held her in his arms and sighed softly. Tai Budian smiled and lay quietly in Chu Yang's broad arms. There was a look of infinite satisfaction on her face. Now that things had come to this, there was no point in saying anything else. At the same time, it was also completely useless and meaningless. In reality, Tai Budian had sacrificed herself for him this time. Chu Yang was also extremely touched and heartbroken about this. Live and die together. For most people in this world, it was always just a sentence. It was just a simple sentence. In fact, from a certain perspective, this sentence was just a formality. There were simply too many people in this world who had said this sentence, especially when men and women made solemn vows of undying love to each other when they were deeply in love. The frequency of this sentence being used was even more super frequent. And how many people could really do it? Tai Budian had never said anything like this to Chu Yang before. But today she had skipped this process. She had done it directly. "Other than you, I don't want anything else. Other than you, I can even abandon this entire world. A world without you is no longer worthy of my nostalgia." Moreover, the current Tai Budian had completely abandoned all her reservations and everything about herself. She had turned into a lovable and clingy little girl, immersed in the arms of her lover, enjoying the bliss of being together with him in a simple way, although both of them were in the state of souls. But to be able to have this embrace, Tai Budian was already very satisfied. Even though she didn't know how long this embrace could last, in any case, it was enough. "You came at the right time. He didn't have time to insult me." Although she felt that it was already a little too late to say all this now, Tai Budian still said it. "Even if I die, even if I'm just a soul, even if I'm about to dissipate, I want him to know that I'm clean. From head to toe, from start to end, I only belong to you alone." I know all about it." Chu Yang smiled. "Although this guy was lustful, you always had a way to delay him. If it were me, you wouldn't be so lucky." Tai Buqian's face flushed red. She rolled her eyes at him and said, "Bah, is there anyone in this world who is more lustful than you? I really regret it. Why was I so foolish to sacrifice myself for you? If you give me another chance, I—" Chu Yang's expression turned dim. "I'm the one who dragged you down?" Tai Buqian's expression changed drastically. Her face turned as pale as paper. She said in an extremely anxious and trembling voice, "I was joking just now. I was really joking just now. I just wanted to anger you, really?" Chu Yang turned around instantly and chuckled. I was also joking. How could you bear to leave me?" Tai Buqian's face turned from pale to red. She buried her head in Chu Yang's arms and refused to raise her head again. Chu Yang rolled his eyes and said, "Tiantan, look, there's no one else here anyway. Since both of us are already dead and our souls might completely dissipate in the next moment, why don't we try dual cultivation? No matter what the outcome is, at least one wish has been fulfilled." Tai Budian couldn't suppress her embarrassment at once. However, she said gently, "You're my husband. Of course you have the final say in this matter. Chu Yang, I'll listen to everything you say. Whatever you say, it will be." Chu Yang's spirits were lifted and he was about to start. If he wanted to do it, he would do it. Time would pass by in seconds. "Aren't you worried about them at all?" Tai Budian suddenly asked. Chu Yang was taken aback. He subconsciously stopped what he was doing. There was a hint of melancholy on his face that couldn't be concealed. He said, "Of course I'm worried. But is there any use in worrying?" Tai Budian also fell silent. Yes, was there any use in worrying now? After all, they were already dead. Seeing the melancholy on Chu Yang's face, Tai Budian said with great heartache, "I'm sorry, it's all because of me." "No." Chu Yang said indifferently, "It's because of me. The word sorry should be said by me. No matter what, it shouldn't be said by you. When a man marries a woman, he has the obligation to take good care of her and make her happy. This is a man's responsibility. It's because I'm too weak and can't protect all of you. This is all my fault. What has it got to do with you?" Chu Yang sighed deeply. "I'm a man." Tai Budian looked at him in a daze. She couldn't help but be shocked. Man. Before this, the word man, in people's general psychology, only had one concept: gender. But now Tai Budian finally understood what exactly the word man implied. It turned out that a word that could be said casually was actually so heavy. Chapter 1908. If a man doesn't do anything, a woman can only suffer along with him. If a man doesn't have power, his woman will be bullied. Beauty is the source of disaster for a man without power. Chu Yang smiled bitterly. I didn't expect that I, Chu Yang, would also become such a man without power. Today's disaster has nothing to do with anyone. It's just that I'm not capable enough. Tai Budian shook her head violently. No, Chu Yang, you are the most capable, responsible, affectionate and righteous man in the world. I have never doubted this and have always believed it. The facts have proven that you are such a man. She looked deeply at Chu Yang, her eyes full of satisfaction and happiness. In this world, not every man can do this for his woman. And you have done it. Among all the men in the world, I believe that only you can be so reckless for your woman. Tai Buqian's eyes seemed to be shining. In this life, to be able to become your woman regardless of life or death, is enough for me to be proud. I am infinitely satisfied with this honor. Chu Yang chuckled. That's right, do your best. If you still can't do it even after trying your best, then so be it. Tai Budian nodded lightly. Yes. The two of them looked at each other and smiled, seeing the regret and concern in the depths of each other's eyes. Yes, death. Once there is impermanence, everything comes to an end. Once there is death, there is really nothing left. Those who should be concerned about, those who should be protected, those who should be faced, would all be separated by the netherworld. It would be difficult for them to have any karma. However, right at this moment, an inexplicably strong and irresistible pulling force suddenly came. In an instant, it was about to separate the two of them who were hugging each other. The two of them tried their best to resist. They hugged each other tightly but still couldn't resist it. It was as if two giants had grabbed them from each side and pulled them apart forcefully. They wanted to, but they were powerless. This was the truest proof of their state of mind at this moment. The two of them gradually leaned back. They gradually separated but still wanted to hug each other so tightly. Ultimately, they couldn't resist that strong force and finally separated bit by bit. As the final moment arrived, a realization rose in their hearts at the same time. The end of life. Two people who loved each other were unwilling to part even when they entered the underworld. Now that they were holding hands in the underworld, they were still unable to resist the restraints of the underworld. For a moment, both of them were heartbroken. They couldn't help but stare at each other. It was as if they wanted to carve each other's faces into the depths of their souls forever. Chu Yang. After all, Tai Buqian's strength was weak and she couldn't resist. He shouted with all his might, Junior, I still want to marry you. I will marry you for all eternity. I just want to be your woman. I'll only be your woman. Don't forget me. Don't forget me. You must remember, if I want to marry you, I will only marry you. Chu Yang looked at her affectionately. The two of them were originally holding each other's hands tightly, hands that could not even be separated by life and death. Finally, they were separated. Both of their hands tried their best to reach forward in the air, wanting to grasp each other again and again, but the distance between them was getting farther and farther. Was reality really that cruel? On the road to the underworld, lovers were not allowed to hold hands and walk together. Tai Buqian's face gradually became blurry. Chu Yang smiled in bewilderment. Junior, will there really be another one? Suddenly he felt his whole body fly up. In an instant, the sky turned dark. Then he completely lost all consciousness and returned to silence. Everything is finally over. Jianghu, I don't regret doing that, but I still feel guilty towards you. At the last moment, one last thought flashed across Chu Yang's mind. He didn't know how much time had passed. When Chu Yang woke up again, he felt as if thousands of lifetimes had passed. For some reason he actually felt old. He wanted to open his eyes, but he realized that his eyelids seemed to be thousands of kilograms heavy. It was as if he couldn't open them even if he used all his strength. He couldn't help but feel surprised. Damn it, he had never heard of death being like this. Could it be that he died very thoroughly this time and reincarnated again? Was he in the mother's womb? Otherwise, why was it so difficult? Was he reborn? Or reincarnated? Then he felt an intense pain all over his body. Then an extremely numb and itchy feeling rose. He almost wanted to roar out loud. Why was it so damn uncomfortable? Why was it so painful? The pain was still bearable, but this numbness and itch were really unbearable. Could it be that he had entered the 18 levels of hell before he even opened his eyes? He kept protesting against the bureaucracy of the ghost soldiers. How could he be so indiscriminate? The people of the previous generation were the saviors of the world. Even if they didn't go straight to heaven, they shouldn't have been sent down to hell. Today they were actually subjected to such cruel torture. Was there any justice in this? Was there any? Chu Yang's heart was filled with endless indignation. The previous generation was open and aboveboard. Why should they send me to hell? Chu Yang scolded. I didn't let the heavens down and I didn't let the earth down. The previous generation was open and honest. The previous generation was kind and honest. You guys are so indiscriminate, I'll always complain about you. Damn it, I'm already dead anyway, who cares? Now that I'm depressed, I'll just roar a few words first. Chu Yang was startled. This change was too sudden and too fast. His brain didn't even have time to react. His mouth didn't even have time to receive new instructions. So he was still cursing and flaunting his nobility, old, handsome, elegant, chivalrous, courageous, loyal, righteous and brave, honest and kind, extremely loyal. He has never killed anyone. Chu Yang's heart was filled with hatred. His heart was filled with vengeance. He was brave and courageous. He was honest and kind. He was extremely loyal. He had never killed anyone. Suddenly, a seemingly familiar face appeared in front of him. There was a smile that was forcefully suppressed, and there was a feeling that he couldn't stop himself from bursting into laughter at any time. When Chu Yang saw him, he immediately stopped. Subconsciously, he didn't believe who he saw. After taking a closer look, he was shocked. Damn it, even you are dead. That's good, I finally have a companion. I don't have to worry about loneliness anymore. This person was of course Xue Leihan, the Emperor of the East himself. You died young. How many times do you want to die? I won't die either. Xue Leihan glared at him angrily. Then he couldn't help but laugh. This guy really dared to say that. Not to mention other things, he dared to claim that he was virtuous, courageous, kind and had never killed anyone? The number of people who died in his hands wasn't just a few million, right? What handsome and unrestrained. Elegant, chivalrous, courageous, 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 courageous and courageous. Are these good words related to him? It's clearly something that should be used to describe me. This is the most appropriate way to describe me. It's a perfect pair. I say, why are you here? Chu Yang got up and looked at his own body in astonishment. Don't tell me I'm not dead? Xue Leihan looked up at the sky and sighed. Looks like you're not far from death. Anyway, you won't recover. It wasn't easy for you to escape death. You actually went crazy again. Fate makes fools of people. Get lost. Get out of my sight. Chu Yang happily stood up. He stretched lazily. Ah, so I'm still not dead this time. That's right, I haven't gotten my hands on so many beauties. How can I die? The heavens bless the good. I'm always so good. He's so kind, so outstanding, so blessed by the heavens, so talented, so outstanding, so unique, so beautiful. How could he die so easily? Xue Leihan frowned deeply and covered his face. He didn't want to listen. This guy's level of shamelessness was truly blessed by the heavens. By the way, where's Tian Tian? Chu Yang asked casually. Then his expression changed. He turned around and saw Tai Butian lying quietly beside him. Tai Butian's eyes were still tightly shut. There was still a sad smile on her face. She wasn't breathing at all, just like a dead person. Chu Yang couldn't help but fly into a rage. He jumped up abruptly and grabbed Xue Leihan's collar. He said fiercely, Xue Leihan. You old bastard, to tell you the truth, I've tolerated you for a long time. Previously, I knew that I wasn't enough for you, so I forced myself to tolerate it. But today I can't tolerate it anymore. You bastard. He grabbed Xue Leihan's collar and flew into a rage. He was just short of really hitting him. Far away, the tribulation spirit saw this scene and almost fainted. My heavens, my earth, my God. What kind of person is this guy? He actually grabbed the Emperor of the East Continent's collar and made a big fuss. Look, His saliva is all over the Emperor of the East Continent's face. He's really too awesome. He's really too awesome. If it was another person, he would have been smashed into pieces by now, right? Even the Emperor of the East Continent wouldn't dare to treat the Emperor of the East Continent like this. But facing this guy, the Emperor of the East Continent actually looked helpless, as if he couldn't do anything to him at all. This result was undoubtedly a big surprise to the Tribulation spirit. At the same time, a kind of respect for Chu Yang arose from the bottom of his heart. This guy is definitely a big shot. And a super big shot at that. I can't make a conclusion about him for now, but there's definitely an inestimable power behind him. Yes, just like that demon god. Previously, that demon god's strength was too strong for me. It seems that I can't tell who is stronger between His Excellency and His Excellency Dong Huang, but his strength is definitely amazing. I say, don't get agitated first. Let's talk slowly. Xue Leihan looked helpless. He couldn't beat or scold this guy. Now that he didn't beat or scold him, he actually took advantage of him. What the hell is this? Since you can save one of me, you can definitely save both of us. Tell me, why don't you save my woman? Tell me. Chu Yang continued to fly into a rage. I'm telling you, you better listen carefully. If you don't save her today, I'll wash your eastern royal sky with blood. Do you think I won't dare to do that? Xue Leihan was speechless. I've really never seen such a shameless guy. With your small arms and legs, you dare to say that you'll wash the eastern royal sky with blood? Of course you do have the guts, but do you have the ability to do so? Any one of my subordinates may not even need to lift a finger, just a breath and they'll settle it. Is he so sure that I won't do anything to him? Playing with me? Wait a minute, this guy is actually acting to pick up girls, right? Chapter 1909. The more Xue Leihan looked at it, the more it resembled it. Yes, that's it. I got it. I saw through it so easily. I've never seen such trashy acting skills. Looks like this little guy is just an idol with no acting skills at all. Logically speaking, you should at least pounce on her and take a look, right? Check her pulse or something. No matter what, you should at least check her heartbeat, right? Even worse, you should at least check her body temperature with your hands. This is the most common method, right? But this damned bastard didn't do anything from the start to the end. He just jumped up and grabbed my collar and yelled. Isn't this too fucking fake? It's obvious that this guy saw me the moment he opened his eyes and immediately calmed down. He was sure that I wouldn't allow the two of them to die just like that. His heart was already at ease. But now he came over to put on an act. It's obvious that he wants to win the girl's favor. His intentions are really sinister and shameless. That thing you mentioned, do as you see fit. If you want to wash the eastern royal heavens with blood, go ahead. I won't stop you. You can stop when you've vented all your anger. Xue Leihan said angrily. Then he said telepathically, I'm warning you, little guy. Even if you're acting, there should be a limit. I can only cooperate with you now. If you really go too far and anger me. Chu Yang blinked and continued to yell, this is the woman I like the most, the woman I love the most. You. If she doesn't come back to life, I don't want to live either. Without her, there's nothing in this world that I can't bear to leave. Don't think that I can't do anything to you. I can use my forbidden technique once and I don't mind using it again. Today I'm going all out. I'll perish together with you. After saying that, he actually yelled, with my heart's blood. I'm using my life to pick up girls. What can you do about it? The muscles on Xue Leihan's face twitched. He really wanted to slap this bastard into meat paste. Xue Leihan gnashed his teeth in hatred. You wanted to pick up a girl? I didn't object, I even cooperated. You wanted to deepen the degree of this girl's unswerving loyalty to you? I was also happy to see that. Didn't I still cooperate? But don't treat me as your tool. No matter what, I am still His Majesty the Eastern Emperor. Just like that, you used it as a tool to pick up girls? You actually want to perish together with me? He actually wanted to destroy the myriad tribulations again? The calamity sword is in my hands. What are you going to use to destroy myriad calamity? Even if you really used the 1,000 tribulations collapse, you might be able to do something to others, but can you do anything to me? What about the calamity sword? Where's my calamity sword? Chu Yang groped all over his body. Where is it? Where is it? I want to destroy the myriad tribulations. Chu Yang? A gentle call rang out. Tai Budian had already gotten up from the ground. With a look of surprise and gratitude, she looked at Chu Yang affectionately. I didn't die. I see you again. You're not dead, you're not dead. Chu Yang seemed to be in a daze. He hugged her. Overjoyed, he said, "It's great that you didn't die. How could I let you die? No matter what method I used, I would have brought you back to life. Tian Tian, my little Tian Tian." Tai Budian leaned into his arms with a blissful look on her face. "I didn't expect that both of us didn't die. Chu Yang. I'm so touched. It must be your sincerity that moved the heavens. I'm really so touched. Especially that you didn't die. I'm even more touched. The heavens have also been moved by us." Chu Yang hugged her soft body tightly, unable to contain his joy. His words became more and more mushy. "If this guy didn't bring you back to life, see if I don't tear down his territory?" "Yes, I know. I heard everything. Your heart, your feelings, your person, I know everything. I understand everything." Tai Budian replied, full of gratitude. "This is nothing. This is what I should do. For the sake of the people I love, what's the big deal?" Chu Yang continued to spout nonsense. Shui Leihan shuddered all over. He raised his arm to take a look. On the originally smooth surface of his muscles, there was already a dense layer of goosebumps. I was the one who saved them, and the two of them at that. How did it become Chu Yang the beneficiary? What was this? Emperor Donghuang really didn't know that Chu Yang took advantage of others' efforts. The more great young Master Chu did it, the more comfortable it became. He definitely wouldn't feel embarrassed at all. "I can't take it anymore. I really can't take it anymore." Shui Leihan shook his head and floated up. "I'd better leave. I don't want to be Chu Yang's love prop here. If I stay any longer, I'm really afraid. I'm really afraid that I'll slap this despicable, shameless, vulgar and lowly person to death. Look at all the things he's done. Is a lowly person really invincible in the world? Leave? Where do you think you're going?" Chu Yang shouted. "I haven't checked my woman's body yet. If there's anything wrong, I won't let you off." Shui Leihan turned a deaf ear to him. He gritted his teeth and left quickly. His speed was almost the fastest in Donghuang's life. It wasn't any slower than the speed he came at just now. It was even faster. "Do you have any shame at all? You're an influential figure after all. Do you really not have any shame at all? You've been carrying her for so long, and you haven't checked her body yet? As long as she's alive, even if there's anything wrong, your heavy pill can treat her immediately. You actually want me to continue to stay here and be a prop to contrast you? You're really, in your dreams." I'm fine. I'm really fine." Tai Budian hurriedly hugged Chu Yang. "Don't make things difficult for him. It's already very good that he can save us. How can you treat your savior like that? Humph. Bullshit savior." Chu Yang pretended to be still angry and pretended to be pretentious. "This bastard ran really fast. If there's anything wrong with your body, I'll kill my way to the East Emperor Palace to avenge you. I'm so angry. Am I really so important?" Tai Buqian's eyes moved. "Of course." Chu Yang nodded vigorously. "Chu Yang, you're so nice." Tai Budian was very shy and full of joy. She kissed him. It had to be said that the IQ of a woman in love was often in the negative. Even the emperor of a generation, the iron-cloud Emperor Tai Budian, was no exception. She didn't realize how bad Chu Yang's acting skills were. Only after experiencing life and death could one understand the importance of others. Only after experiencing the vicissitudes of life could one see the sincerity of others. Tai Budian was completely satisfied. Even if she knew that Chu Yang was lying to make her happy, she would rather believe it. She was willing. "As a woman, my life is already complete." How could Chu Yang let go of such benefits that came knocking on his door? He directly kissed her like a pervert. He was still not very satisfied. Why did he only receive such benefits every few days? It was too infrequent. Such a good thing, even if he did 10 or 8 of them every day, it wouldn't be too much. What a pity. Swoosh. A magnificent sword light flashed across the sky at an extremely fast speed. It was right next to Chu Yang's back and inserted into the stone. "Chuck, what's going on? You've spoiled my mood." Chu Yang only felt a chill on his back. He turned around and saw that it was the return of the tribulation sword. He couldn't help but raise his head and continue to scold. "You bastard. Fortunately, you didn't hurt my little Tian Tian. Otherwise, I'll never let you off." Up above, Shui Leihan had already left the infinite boundless mountains with a black face. He went up into the sky invisibly and could no longer hear the unreasonable roars below. He couldn't help but grumble. "It's been 3 million years. In these 3 million years, I've only seen such a shameless person. He's really the best of the best, the scum of scum. He's really too deranged. I can't afford to offend him, but I can't hide from him either. From today onwards, as long as I hear the 2 words Chu Yang, I'll avoid him. If that still doesn't work, I'll go all out. So what if I run 30,000 miles away? The East Emperor Shui Leihan covered the goosebumps all over his body and fled. Chu Yang. Tai Buqian's eyes were filled with lust. She looked around and was charming, causing one's imagination to run wild. Tian Tian. Chu Yang gazed at her affectionately. Husband. Tai Buqian only felt extremely happy at this moment. She hoped that time could stop at this moment forever. Oh, my beloved wife. Chu Yang's voice was mellow and became more and more exaggerated. Wretch, 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 a sudden sound came from the side. It was the divine spirit of the calamity who finally couldn't stand the nausea anymore. He flew to a corner and vomited. However, he didn't vomit anything in the end. Fuck, I haven't been out for so many years, and the moment I came out, something so explosive came. Even with my millions of years of cultivation, I still can't control this strong feeling of disgust. This is really too powerful. It's you? It's actually you? Chu Yang was horrified. It was actually that voice that was both familiar and unfamiliar. Only then did he have time to size up the surrounding environment. He couldn't help but be shocked. Why am I back here again? It's actually here? Damn it. He couldn't help but feel his scalp go numb. This was definitely a place of death. The degree of danger was definitely above that of the array that killed Mo Yuntian's ghost territory. He had personally experienced the terror of the divine spirit of the calamity. In his hands he would definitely die. Moreover, it seemed that he had scolded him too badly last time. There was probably no room for reconciliation between them anymore. Chu Yang judged the other party by his own standards. Since he was sure that the divine spirit of the calamity would definitely kill him, there was no reason for him not to kill him. The degree of hatred was very likely to have already surpassed the number one enemy of the divine spirit of the calamity, the heavenly emperor of purple clouds, Zihao. At this moment, even if he really used the destruction of all things again, it might not be of any use. Because the limit of the destruction of all things that he used now was probably to destroy martial artists of the saint level, and the divine spirit of the calamity was definitely above that. He might not even be much weaker than experts of Shui Leihan's level. Chapter 1910. Unexpectedly, the divine spirit seemed to be even more shocked than Chu Yang. It immediately flew away, shouting as it ran, "It's not me, it's not me." With a swoosh, it disappeared without a trace. P.C. What the heck, how can I afford to offend this little ancestor? Not to mention that the sword is right there, not to mention the terrifying monster in the sword, just the East Emperor Shui Leihan alone. I can't afford to offend him. Why didn't I control myself just now? Even if I can't control myself, I should have. Why couldn't I control myself? Little ancestor, please don't play with me anymore. I don't have anything good left. Really, please leave quickly. Please leave quickly. I won't send you off. Not me? What kind of answer is this? What's going on? Chu Yang frowned. He thought, did something happen just now that I don't know about? It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense for this divine spirit to be so afraid of me. Could it be that Shui Leihan made him suffer just now? Yes, that must be the case. Hey, come back. Chu Yang made up his mind. How could he not make use of this rare opportunity to intimidate others? If he didn't make use of it, would he still be the great philanthropist Chu? The divine spirit didn't even look back. It was long gone. Not to mention that it didn't hear Chu Yang's words. Even if it did, it would pretend that it didn't. If there was any interaction, there would be trouble. If there was no interaction, there would naturally be no trouble. Chu Yang chuckled. He was thinking about how he should take advantage of this matter. As for the act in front of Shui Leihan just now, it was indeed intentional on Chu Yang's part. He couldn't possibly cry out, "Big brother, thank you for saving me," the moment he woke up, right? Chu Yang. Tai Buqian exclaimed in surprise. Look, my cultivation has improved a lot. What's going on? Your cultivation has improved a lot. Chu Yang turned around suspiciously. How much is a lot? Be more specific. Tai Buqian circulated her energy. Chu Yang was dazzled at once. He couldn't believe it. Wasn't this a little too fantastical? Previously, Tai Buqian's cultivation was at most not even at the peak of the human level. But now, in front of him was a wave as white as the sea. All of a sudden, it lit up so brightly that it covered the entire sky. With Tai Buqian's body as the center, it gradually spread out. When it expanded to a radius of 1,000 feet, it suddenly shrank back. All of them returned to Tai Buqian's body. How is it? Tai Buqian was extremely excited. She looked up at Chu Yang like a little girl and said expectantly, I feel like I'm at least twice as strong as before. What realm am I at now? Tell me. Chu Yang was stupefied. He was so shocked that he was stiff. At least twice as much? That must be a joke. How could your family reach such a level after doubling from the human level? Even if the human level was doubled, he would still be in the human level at most. It seemed like he hadn't even reached the earth grade. However, the white light surrounding your body and the lightning retracting is something that can only happen when you are at least at the saint level. Furthermore, it had to be saint grade. Oh my god, what the hell is going on? Right now, even if Tai Budian was in the Heaven Imperial Court, she would still be in the Heaven Palace. Duan Sankong had been cultivating for his entire life, and it seemed that he could already be called an expert among experts. Currently he was only a saint. And now Tai Budian. In terms of cultivation alone, she had at least surpassed Duan Sankong's entire life of cultivation. From the human level to the human level. From the upper level to the earth level to the lower level. From the lower level to the upper level to the peak level. From the heaven level to the lower level to the upper level to the upper level to the saint level. Chu Yang suddenly felt dizzy. Oh my god. How much had she improved? What exactly did Shui Leihan use to save the two of them? Wasn't this effect too frightening? Was this the true meaning of reaching the heavens in a single bound? Tai Budian had just improved her cultivation and was rather excited. Especially when she discovered that she could actually fly in midair again and hover in the sky, and could even do anything at will. She was so excited that she couldn't control herself. After coming to the Heaven Palace, due to the huge difference in gravity, she had long lost the ability to fly freely in the sky. After asking Greasy Cat, Duan Sankong and the rest, she found out that she had to be at least at the saint level to be able to fly in the sky again. Tai Budian was rather disappointed about this. At this moment, with only Chu Yang by her side, Tai Budian regained the ability to fly that she hadn't had for a long time. She instantly let go of all her worries and didn't hide herself at all. She rushed up into the sky and flew here and there continuously. She stretched her body freely and let out joyful laughter continuously. This was the most comfortable day in Tai Butian's life. And also the happiest day. And the most relaxing day of her life. The heavy responsibility of the country, the strong concealment of her high position, the feelings of a young girl. Even after coming to the Heaven Palace with Chu Yang, Tai Budian still felt that she wasn't the person that Chu Yang loved the most. Inevitably, there was a kind of depression buried deep in her heart. But now at this moment she understood her own heart and Chu Yang's heart. At this moment she had sincerely let go of all her worries about external things and freely enjoyed the happiest time of her life. It was only at this moment that Tai Budian truly had the appearance of a young girl at this age. Looking at Tai Budian playing by himself, Chu Yang couldn't help but have a look of heartfelt tenderness in his eyes. He could clearly feel that the Tai Budian at this moment was truly happy and carefree. Ever since Chu Yang had known Tai Budian for so long, it seemed that it was only today that he saw Tai Budian so genuinely relaxed and revealing the emotions of a young girl. While Tai Budian was playing by the side, Chu Yang had a thought. If even Tai Budian could improve so much, it didn't make sense that he, the main character, could improve even less. In that case, how much have I improved? The moment he tried to circulate his energy, he only felt that the heaven-splitting divine technique was activated violently like a tsunami. Chu Yang was really shocked and hurriedly dispersed. Why is it so easy? It used to be a technique that required a lot of effort to activate. But now, I haven't even had time to exert any effort and it's already surging like waves. This situation seems to be too good. I have to get used to it first, Chu Yang muttered to himself. Restraining himself, Chu Yang first used his inner vision to observe the current situation. Chu Yang didn't forget. When he had activated the destruction of all things earlier, his dantian had exploded at the same time. The moment he took a look, he was shocked again. He was really shocked. He saw that he had a dantian. Not only was it there, but it was also full. In addition, the outer walls of all the dantians were golden, emitting a soft and faint glow. What's going on? Chu Yang looked at the magical glow in his body and really couldn't make head or tail of it. He tried to touch it. The flexibility and elasticity made Chu Yang overjoyed. That was because it meant that there was simply too much space for them to exploit. Chu Yang smiled crookedly. He had died once. There was actually such a benefit? In that case, did he have to die a few more times? Chu Yang suddenly thought of Rui Budong. Touching his chin, he murmured, "This is simply a super-strengthened version of the nirvana of the phoenix." Then he tried to circulate the heaven-splitting divine technique slowly. He only felt that his body was like a completely still river following his cultivation. Slowly it began to circulate. It began to flow. Just like that, it flowed over and over again. The cycle was endless and the speed was getting faster and faster. From smooth flowing water to surging waves, it only took a short breath's time. And it was only a breath's time for an ordinary person. This level was more than 10 times, 100 times, or even 1,000 times stronger than when he was at the beginning stage of the heaven realm before he died. Looking at the scene of the entire realm of the God Source being filled with soft white light as he cultivated, Chu Yang exhaled softly with a solemn expression. Same position. Peak. Moreover, to say that he was currently at the peak of same position was probably still a little reserved. Because Chu Yang could clearly feel that there was still a huge amount of power hidden in his body, waiting to be further developed. It was hidden in every inch of his muscles, every bit of his meridians, every drop of his blood. These powers were completely foreign to him. He had never seen them before. In other words, these powers were all obtained after this incident. Chu Yang guessed that Shui Leihan must have used some kind of heaven-defying super elixir to save him. His body couldn't withstand all the effects of the elixir at all, so the rest of the elixir was sealed in his body. It was hard to say how high the level of this medicine was. At least, it was beyond the scope of Chu Yang's understanding. Among all the elixirs, spiritual fruits, and heavenly treasures that Chu Yang had seen before, it seemed that only the heaven and earth mystery yellow fruit could barely be compared to it. In fact, it was far inferior. As for the situation of the power hidden in his body, it was easy to explain. It wasn't difficult to solve either. As long as he improved little by little, these powers could be fully unleashed and turned into his own combat power. It seemed that Tai Butian's body should also have a similar power hidden in it. He believed that after completely absorbing this power, he would definitely be strong to a level that he couldn't even dream of before. And this process shouldn't be too long. God indeed still cares for me. Knowing that I urgently need to increase my power, it came. This can be considered a blessing in disguise, right? Chu Yang felt refreshed all over. With this kind of power, he could finally breathe a sigh of relief for the time being. And the bunch of people from the demon ghost had all been killed by him. That disgusting fellow was finally not showing off in front of him anymore. He was in a good mood and couldn't help but let out a long howl. The eyes of the tribulation spirit in the distance almost popped out. This fellow seemed to have only just reached the heavenly level the last time, but now he was already at the peak of saint level, only a step away from the heavenly level, and the kind that could break through at any time. It hadn't even been a day. With this kind of improvement speed, could it be that he's the ghost and I'm not? Fuck. There's no way to live when you compare yourself to him. You're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.